Everybody, and welcome to the World of Football Podcast live Monday evening here on the Josh YouTube channel at, well, not exactly half time. What you get, we tried to be close to half time. We were trying to give Reece a bit of time. Unfortunately, Reece, as usual, it's a bit late. So, everyone, hope you're all having a great time. Hope you all had a great weekend. Obviously, the summer season is approaching us, and it is nice and beautiful here in Northern Ireland today. It has been for quite a few days now. I am joined by Nathan, soon to be Reece as well. Actually, there we go. Just as I talk about the devil, here he is. So, Nathan, my friend, how are you doing?
They're going down. They're going down. They're going. Reading's going down. Absolutely beautiful. There you go.
Reece, what have you got to say on this beautiful Monday evening?
I'm surprised to see you in a Chelsea shirt. That's for sure. I'm good. I've got the semi-final of the Women's Champions League on the PlayStation 5, watching in the background. Got another channel down here as well that I'm building, just helping with Chelsea. But all in all, I'm really good. But I'm not so bad actually. I best get changed into appropriate attire as well. That's the only reason I was late, is because I was watching the fucking semi-final. Another ACL injuries happened for the Arsenal team as well. That's the 4th this season for them. 8th overall since the final, the Euro final.
Well, so we have got quite a lot to talk about, obviously. Do you want to Chelsea? I don't really know what to talk about that. I was actually just talking about you, Paul, as well before. Said to Nathan about how I haven't spoken to you in probably quite a while. Even just good evening, Hallie. I hope you're doing very, very well. So. Let's get cracking like in Shalackin and Julio Carter for getting relegated in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. I guess we'll get like on it. We'll get Nathan on a massive rant. So let's start off with Leeds United. So obviously Leeds United suffered quite a big defeat to Bournemouth, which if anything is probably definitely made sure Bournemouth are not going to be getting relegated. Then it leaves Leeds in despair. Leeds are 1 point above the relegation, so with 4 games left, and 3 of those games I'm pretty sure against the top 5 in the league. So they are, and also then against an M4 West Ham team. There's been from credible sources that Garcia is pretty much going to be getting the sack. Nothing confirmed yet if that is definitely the case, but normally when them reports come out, the manager normally doesn't last to the next week. So. What do we think about Leeds? Obviously, they survived on the final year last year by the skin of their teeth. They are really close to they're not on the relegation zone as we speak, but they're dramatically close, and they might be sacking a manager with 4 games left to go. Nathan, obviously you hate Leeds, so obviously you'd be very happy to see this. But what's your thoughts and what do you think's going through the minds of Leeds United fans at the moment?
It's just complete capitulation at this point. Like I don't think we've ever seen it like this before. Because what you got to remember is under Jesse Marsh, they had such a great start to the season, and then I don't know when it was. It was just after the World Cup. Everything just seems to have completely imploded. The players just don't care. It's full of egos in that dressing room. Straight up, there's no all individuality, no team spirit at all there. Sacking Javi Gracia for me would be an absolutely stupid decision, just because at the end of the day, who are you going to get in to save him? That's the point. Gracia's got what he can, but at the end of the day, defensively they're a mess. There's no cure in that at all. It's not it's not down to the manager. It's really down to the coaching staff. Like the way that it's always been a problem at Leeds. It was a problem under Bielsa. It was a problem under Marsh, and well, certainly it's been a problem under Gracia. So at the end of the day, they're doomed. There's nothing you can do with this squad. The mentality's so low. We saw it in that disgusting clip when they were going out that hotel room, which was completely shocking. But at the end of the day, it's down to the squad, unfortunately. And I think the owners, well, they can take a bit of blame for not sort of investing right, for not directing it properly. A lack of a director of football is bleakly obvious there. Or if they do have a director, I haven't actually checked, but if they do have one, what a disaster he has been in his post.
Yeah, there's been a lot of questionable decisions from the Leeds board and from their sporting executives and the chairmen. Jesse Marsh, was never the right person. He was never the right person to have after
Absolutely.
Bielsa, because he was a worse version of Bielsa. And it's a no disrespect to Javi Garcia. He's a nice man, decent manager, but he's not someone who's going to get Leeds United out of a relegation play. That was never the way he wants to go. Reece, what do you think? You look at Leeds last 4 fixtures, 1 point above the relegation. So Leeds, I think Leeds are guaranteed to go into the relegation. So no matter what the result is tonight, I think I remember seeing that somewhere. So they will be in the relegation zone by the end of this last Everton game, which is obviously huge in itself. But what do you think about Leeds? Do you think they're as good as gone, or do you think they might just have a bit of a miracle like they did last year?
I don't think necessarily they have enough to stay up. I think key players are being ignored for dross, really. Like Nonto being mentioned, Nonto being mentioned in the live chat is a perfect example. I think he's a brilliant Italian young winger. I think Somerville's fantastic. I think Harrison's good for them. I think Bamford sucks. Rodrigo should be starting every single game, in my opinion. But it shows that certain players, when they're in the squad, you see how bad Leeds are. Hallelujah. But all in all, I don't think they're going to... I don't think they're good enough to stay up, and rightfully so. I don't think they're good enough. Just seeing there, it's actually got the extra time in this game. Record crowd at the Emirates has got the extra time. 2-2, 4-4 in aggregate.
Wow. But yeah, the thing with Leeds is when they eventually, and it's inevitable, unfortunately, as well, when they get relegated to the Championship, there is no way they're going to bounce back first time unless there is a massive investment, because none of these players are going to want to play in the Championship. I mean, their egos are so massive that they're going to be straight out the door come the summer, and they're going to be left with the literal scraps like Patrick Bamford, who we've all seen in the Championship before, is absolutely terrible. Like, I think his biggest tally is about 12 goals, which is absolutely nothing in the second division. But let me go on to this Leeds squad quickly, just so I can point out who on earth would be staying and who's going. Like, biggest example, Meslier. Now, he has completely lost his confidence. He needs to be dropped. He has been the responsibility of the 22 goals that they conceded in the last month, which, by the way, is a Premier League record. Like, a lot of the goals could have been prevented without his mistakes. You can see he's just lost it. Like, why wouldn't you rotate him out? Put your backup keeper in, for example. Just see if there's something wrong there. Like, get his confidence back. Ayling, I can't see sticking round. Neeson is a bit meh. Roman Koch, I don't know. Liam Cooper will be straight out the door. Jack Harrison will be straight out the door. Rocker and McKenna will be straight out of there as well. And then you're not so Somerville out the door. Bamford will stick around. And then you're going to be left with the likes of Adam Forshaw.
There's a bit of a connection issue there.
Robles, just... It's complete capitulation at the end of the day.
No, I agree. To those in the chat, the likes of Julio and Doug's just came in as well. If you lads want to come on and join us,
absolutely.
big show, like, we'll gladly invite you on. Julio actually was on the podcast on Monday.
Fantastic.
Fucking entertaining. He's actually going to be joining us for the quiz, so I expect you to be there in May. I'll be revealing days tonight, so there's no excuses. That'll be getting done. That's actually this month, so we'll be doing it at the end of the month. So the last week in weekend of May is when we're doing the quiz. So you can't hide, boy. So Doug, Julio, good to see you both. If you want to join us, come join us. Good to see Bluebird Legend, and good to see Hella as well. There's no point watching Leicester versus Everton. We already know what's going to happen. They're both shite.
So I'm going to read out Leeds United's last 4 games. So I want you to tell me what you think the results are going to be. So the first
Easy.
game is on Saturday. They are away to league leaders Manchester City.
Losing 5-0.
5-1. I think they'll grind a goal out.
Home to Newcastle.
Losing 3-1.
4-1.
Away to West Ham.
Drawn 1-1.
2-1 West Ham.
At home to Ryan Mason Spurs on the final game of the season.
1-0 Tottenham.
1-1 draw.
So judging by that, do you think Forest, Leicester, or Everton will get more points than what Leeds will?
I
think Forest definitely.
I think Forest will. I think they're most likely to. I don't think Everton or Leeds are actually getting any points at all between now and the end of the season. I think the most they're going to get is 1 each.
Yeah.
They're actually it's generally so poor in general, the points that they actually are on for the squads they have, the amount of money they've spent, the legacy of both clubs to a degree. I mean, I hate Leeds, but they still have a very important football league history. Everton have got a fantastic history, but when you compare it to Forest, they are all over the place, and it's a reflection of just how bad they are in general. All 3 clubs, in my opinion, deserve to go down more than Southampton, and I will say that like chest out, like Southampton deserve to stay up more than Everton, Leeds, and Forest.
I agree.
Fair enough. Well, talking about Leicester and Everton, obviously in literally 6 minutes the game is going to be on. I've actually got the game here on my Xbox TV screen to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, no worries.
So let's go predictions. What do we think? This is a massive game for both clubs. This game is humongous, biggest game of the weekend by far.
I'm checking the lineups now, but if Leicester are set up how I think they're going to be set up, then I'm actually going to go for a shock here. Let's have a look. Yep. That's fine. Check Everton. 4-3-3. Yep. 1-0 Leicester. James Maddison free kick.
2-0 Leicester.
2-0 Leicester.
I look at that team and I'm like, nah, mate. Like, they're just not. That's just not it. That's just not enough. I don't actually rate Leicester as well. I said at the start of the season that Leicester are shit as well. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to sit by ear because I've got it on my second screen. So
I think Leicester are just as shit as Everton. I think Everton are just as shit as Leeds. I think Forest are equally as shit as all 3 of them. But Forest actually have more potential to their squad, and they're only adapting to a new league. So I see them coping really well. Forest. I think Southampton. I actually still think this, and I might be insane, but I actually still think Southampton are surviving relegation. I actually still think Southampton
6 points off the league, and they've got some really difficult games. Now,
I was the only one on this podcast a couple of weeks ago that said Arsenal would struggle to beat Southampton. So I actually think they can do it. I think they could. That
don't get me wrong.
They were unlucky to lose against Bournemouth as well.
They were
very unlucky.
They played really well against Arsenal. They did I don't think they bolted it, but they did give up the 2-0 lead.
I don't think they bottled it. No, I think that's a bit harsh. I think they were. I think the difference there is you actually see the difference between Ruben Shellish and Gary O'Neill. I think Gary O'Neill, he's had so much more. I think Gary O'Neill's actually, because he's had more time with this squad, he's actually been able to get Bournemouth playing a style that actually suits that squad in general, so they can actually withstand that pressure. I think Southampton's problem is Ruben Shellis. He's the third man to manage the squad this season, and even though he's changed it around, it hasn't been it hasn't been enough to run with. But I think the way they played against Arsenal, they completely dominated that game as well. Arsenal only had about 5-6 minutes of complete domination, and that's when they scored the 2 late goals. When I'm looking at it, if Southampton can play like that for the rest of the season and actually be effective in getting results, they could. 6 points is 6 points. That's true. 6 points is big.
Exactly.
But the way that the rest of the bottom 3 plus Leeds are actually conceding goals and dropping points, it is actually possible for Southampton to survive. It's possible. It's not impossible. Could they do it though? I hope so. I don't think they will though. I mean,
they can't draw winning points though between now and the end of the season. They have to get points. They have to win. They have to win games. The reason I said there, I think they can and I don't think they can, is because it's purely about mentality. I think if they stick to the mentality they played against Arsenal, they've got a chance. If they don't stick to that mentality, then they're getting relegated. But I say this comfortably. Arsenal nearly scored there, actually. I'll say this for now. If Southampton get relegated, they will win the championship next year. It will be Southampton that comes straight back up in first position immediately, because the owners will actually think, "Fuck's sake, we need to get back up there quickly," and they will. They will actually invest. I think it should be Bielsa that gets the job. It's not going to be. It'll probably still be with Ruben Schellisch. You know what? Not a bad idea, really. But he needs to be given the ability to bring in his own players, and they actually give him his own players. What we need is a comparison of remaining fixtures. I mean, we could probably do that. Yeah. I'll do that at the end because I'm going to be doing predictions for like the top 4 and the bottom 3 and stuff. At the end, so I'll do a comparison. Then I'm kind of just talking about individual teams at the moment. Well, going from the team who are currently 16, let's move to the team that are currently 12, Chelsea.
Terrible.
Yeah, now let's be honest. Frank Lampard has probably made this team worse than what they were under Graham Potter. I genuinely think we should have just kept Graham Potter on at this rate rather than hiring Frank Lampard, who. Yeah, the Chelsea just like abysmal, like they're just truly abysmal with Frank Lampard at the helm. But we're not going to talk about Chelsea, and the season's been awful. We've talked about it on numerous occasions of why this is the case. The question is the guy who is basically right beside Reece, Pochettino. So obviously Nagelsmann is a no-go. Nagelsmann's turned us down, I think.
He turned you down because of Todd Bowley and Christopher Vivell having too much control, and it's the same that happened at Bayern. He had, when he was at Leipzig, you still had a strong setup, so you still had the director of football there, but the director of football actually consulted with Nagelsmann, so Nagelsmann was able to get the players he wanted, who he didn't want out. It all worked really well. At Bayern, Salihamidzic is a wanker. He's a known wanker. He's one of the worst director of footballs in football for a reason, because he actually interferes a lot in team affairs, especially when it comes to squad selections. So that's actually why. I think it's purely because of that reason. I don't think he wants to work under Vivell, but Vivell's actually a great director of football. But then again, though, you're already looking straight away to bringing in Paul Mitchell, so there's a good connection with Pochettino already. I actually think Pochettino's actually a good choice for you anyway.
Well, so Nagelsmann turned us down. I don't think we had interest, but not strong enough interest to pursue Luis Enrique. That was my number one choice, was Luis Enrique. Some other names were thrown about. I do think Frank Lampard would have got the full-time job if he wasn't doing this shit. But obviously, there's no chance he's getting a full-time job now. Pochettino's a weird one, alright, because he obviously didn't win anything at Spurs, but obviously we'll talk about Spurs.
I think what we have to say as well, though, I think before we get into this, there's one thing we have to be fair about. Just like Thomas Tuchel, just like Carlo Ancelotti, just like Laurent Blanc, even though I think he was the most successful out of the recent PSG managers since they actually took over, and the same with Unai Emery. we should just completely ignore what Pochettino actually did at PSG. I think, frankly, we should not even have that conversation because PSG is a death sentence anyway. It's a death sentence, so I don't think we should even acknowledge PSG. I don't acknowledge PSG as a football club anyway. So,
well, that's what I was going to say because we don't talk about PSG outside of the Champions League on this podcast because it's not really.
We have to because they're there.
Yeah, but it's, all in the Champions League, we don't talk about PSG because it's not worth it. It's a waste of breath. And Spurs, I think he came so close to Spurs, but obviously we just know there's such a big mentality issue with Spurs. You go to a semi-final, a Champions League final, second in the league, and obviously he did a fantastic job at Southampton. But the question is, do you think he could come into Chelsea and turn this team around? He'll get us somewhere, he'll get backed. Hopefully, a lot of the deadwood will be cleared. There is a lot of deadwood within that Chelsea team at the moment, and I can name a whole list of them. There's also some issues you need to solve out, such as maybe goalkeeper, Mason Mount's contract. Do you keep Aubameyang? Do you sell him? Do you keep Lukaku? Do you sell Lukaku? Whatever. All of these things will have to be decided by the new manager, which I'm pretty sure it's coming Pochettino at this rate. Do we think Pochettino could be the manager? Could we see him being either the manager who just push Chelsea onto the right path for a manager down the road, which has happened before in those times of football, or could Pochettino be actually the man to turn Chelsea into a winning football club?
I think it would be possible. I mean, you look at the work he did at Southampton, you look at the work that he did at Tottenham, without having any money spent on him as well, to be fair. He had very little money spent on him at both clubs. He actually coached some very strong sides, very good football that were very good in the transition, very good at pressing you, and they played excellent football as well. Generally, like Tottenham and Southampton under Pochettino, even though I'm not a big Pochettino fan, I still think he's a good manager. He's just not my favourite manager. He certainly is good enough for the Chelsea job. And I think if they actually do back him with money and they actually can clear out some of that squad, they certainly have tried something there because he will actually be able to show that he can work with money in a smart sense where he can invest it in players actually going to come in and work well. The good thing is because of the most of the players you actually have signed under Todd Bowley are actually young, it's easier for a younger player to assimilate to a new coach's style because they've got age on their side. Thiago Silva, you may as well write him off, not in a discriminatory sense to him, but even though he's already playing under Pochettino in the Premier League, playing a high-pressing game, it's not going to work so easily for him. But he's such a clever defender anyway that he'll just read the game really well and he'll just play the ball out from the back and then he'll have a couple of young defenders around him to move around and actually give him mobility and cover. You definitely need to I do think you might need a new goalkeeper. I think midfield you need to work that out. I think you need someone like a Declan Rice or something like that, like an aggressive box-to-box midfielder. I think Enzo Fernandez beside Rice could work something interesting.
Exactly that.
I think Mason Mount's going to be a key. I think even though I'm not a big fan of Mason Mount, I think he'll be a key player for you next year. I think he'll be used the same way Christian Eriksen was on that right side, where he'll come in as a right-sided attacking midfielder. And there we go. I'm fine. I'm back. I think Mason Mount will be used as in a 4-2-3-1. I think he'll be used as a winger, but he'll come in like a number 10. Just like what he did, and then you'll have Reece James flank him on the right back slot. You certainly have something there that is good. My only concern for you is who's your striker going to be.
Exactly.
I think Lukaku will stay. Under Pochettino, in my opinion. I think Pochettino would use him the way. That Thomas Tuchel refused to use him. I had two questions. So first of all, do I reckon we'll make it to 40 points? No. I don't think we're going to win a game between now and end of the season.
Wow, that's bold.
I think we're going to lose all games. I just don't see it. Nottingham Forest maybe, dependent if they are safe or not. If they are safe, maybe. But if they're not, no.
Are you playing Forest at the City Ground or are they playing you at Stamford?
Santa City Ground, I believe.
Yeah, okay. Because if they were playing you at home, then I would have said Chelsea win just because of how bad Forest have been away this season.
Another question was how many on the 8-year contracts? I think it's only 2. I think it's Mudryk and who's the other one? I think it's Mudryk and
Enzo Fernandez is
Val-
already
Yeah,
Val-
that's
yeah,
the
it's
exact
Fernandes,
reason as
yeah.
well, may I add, why Leicester are in the situation they are in now. Is because they get like, oh, there's a club legend, bang, let's give them a really long-term contract.
I think yeah,
I-
Mudryk and
I-
Enzo Fernandes.
Everyone just gets really old.
Fernandez already
Bang.
agreed. Fernandez already had his 1-year extension used already. I mean, that's bonkers. I mean, that I don't understand that logic by Chelsea. I mean, he's already on a long-term
Insane.
contract anyway. The 1 year doesn't need to be extended right now. But he's have a good squad. I think one key thing you have to do is you're not going to be in Europe next year anyway, which is actually really good. The one thing you have to do is take those cup games so seriously. If Pochettino takes the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup very seriously with the squad that you are building, then you could hit. I actually think you could finish 3rd or 4th next year. I think you will be competing with us for 3rd. I think Liverpool will be up there, but I genuinely think it'll be either us or Chelsea that finish 3rd next year.
He always took the Carabao Cup seriously at Spurs. To be fair, he likes that cup.
He took it seriously until the 4th round, and then they got eliminated every bloody time. Let's be real. I think Brozier's a smart shout. Brozier's a good player. I do rate.
He's a good player, but it's so hard to call. Because Ruben Loftus-Cheek was playing out of his skill until he tore his ACL, and he's not been the same since. With ACLs, you just do not know if they're going to be amazing when they come back or completely.
That's because he's not had minutes since though. So I think you really have to be clever. I think in a full pre-season, hopefully has a healthy summer for you under Pochettino, then you have got something. I know Hella said you might get Harry Kane. I actually agree about. I actually agree about with Lukaku. I think Lukaku might stay, and I think Lukaku under Pochettino might work. It's risky, but he has experience with big strikers. He might actually get something out of Lukaku.
That's what I think. Yes. Hey, Lukaku suits him a lot more than what Thomas Tuchel suited Lukaku because it suits Pochettino's style when Thomas Tuchel did not. So
exactly
because Thomas Tuchel's style does not work with actual strikers.
You need runners in behind them though. That's why like in Kunku when he joins. Can't believe that's still happening. Sterling, he'll get in behind. Mudryk is in there. Madueke.
Havertz, João Felix.
João Felix, maybe I don't know, but I think one thing you have to do though is you have to get the wingers at least one of them has to be a runner in between Lukaku. I think it's whoever's going to be on the left hand side. I think Mason Mount's going to come in and plays that second 10.
Yeah.
Lukaku, for all his faults with us, he was debated. I think he'll get a chance. He'll get a chance.
To be fair, though, Serie A is a completely different ball game to the Premier League. That's the difference, and not only that, with the way he was used at Inter as well, it's just a match made in heaven, to be honest, compared to the setup of Chelsea.
Mm-hmm. Second half extra time now is kicked off, and it's still 2-2.
Oh, what a save!
It's going to be an interesting what happens with Chelsea. I think one of the biggest challenges for Pochettino and for Todd Bowley and everyone else is the amount of people that Chelsea are going to have to sell. Here in the summer to balance the books, to shorten the squad, and trying to find them clubs. That's what I'm most interested to see. Mm-hmm. Apparently, we're getting João Felix on. We're getting João Felix on another loan for a full season. Apparently, that's pretty much already been agreed, kind of behind the counter. So, if that is the case, then I could see maybe selling Kai Havertz. I think Aubameyang's going to go. I think Aubameyang will go. I think Kai Havertz might get sold, but I don't know. That'll probably be up to Pochettino. But it'll be very interesting. What happens? The quicker the season ends, the better. Because I really don't see Frank Lampard winning a single game during his caretaker manager, which it's just bad. Let's talk about another London club, Spurs. Spurs, obviously. No, you guys did the show last week, so you would have talked about Salini.
And Kunku's a done deal, unfortunately.
you guys obviously would touched on Christian Cellini, and I heard you guys basically say it was harsh on him because he was thrown into the deep end.
Mhm.
If you think Christian Cellini was thrown in the deep end, obviously Ryan Mason's been thrown into a bigger deep end. To be fair to him, he's got some reaction out of it. We don't know if Simeone is staying or not, but he just isn't enjoying. He just isn't enjoying.
He'll stay.
staying.
He'll stay. The only reason, the only way that Simeone won't stay, the only way that Simeone won't stay at Atletico Madrid is if Simeone Inzaghi gets a sack at Inter Milan.
Mm-hmm.
If Inzaghi gets sacked, he's going there.
So Spurs Ryan since obviously getting a bit of reaction out of these Spurs players, even though they're going 2-3-0 down before they actually start playing. The reaction's there. What do we think about Spurs? Now, obviously, Daniel Levy has made 3 terrible managerial appointments in a row. Nuno, Mourinho, and Conte. And when I say bad, Nuno was bad. Nuno was not the right manager. Mourinho and Conte, there was logic there, but the issue
Mourinho was a good appointment, actually.
It was actually. I agree.
No, what I'm saying is,
to be honest, because
I'm not saying
the was built, but it's just the way it did end.
I'm not saying Mourinho and Conte were bad appointments in terms they should have been hard. It was the same football and the same ideas that was making the fans and the players bored. That Harry Kane came out in public and said the issue of the last few years is that Spurs have been playing an identical way with the second with just a different body there, and it was not working for them. I'm not saying Mourinho was probably the right person at the wrong time because he was hired after Nuno, who completely just bored the squad to death, and then Mourinho came in and he didn't really get much of a reaction, out of the team. So,
I don't know.
But that's where I blame. That's where Daniel Levy gets to blame because Daniel Levy is not taking care of.
Let's be real. I think if it wasn't for Jose Mourinho, Harry Kane wouldn't be relevant. I don't think Harry Kane would be relevant, and that's not excluding.
Dropped off, to be honest.
It's not excluding the work of Pochettino, by the way. But Pochettino made him a very good striker. Mourinho made him an all-round playmaker as well. Like, if it wasn't for Mourinho telling him to drop off and you can actually get 10, 15 assists plus 25 goals, he literally wouldn't have done anything. So if it wasn't for Mourinho, he'd be great. And Heung-min Son as well. Heung-min Son's best football at Spurs was actually under Jose Mourinho, in my opinion. I think he really did a lot. I think the one thing they didn't do right for him was the system. I think you saw it there where they actually were building. They kept signing players that were specific for a back three when Mourinho wanted to play a back four, and eventually he was forced to play a back three. Now they've been stuck with a back three ever since. So I genuinely think when you look at it in the logical way, Mourinho was right. It just got really out of control, and it got toxic in the wrong situation. I don't think it was all Mourinho's fault. I don't. I think it was just a scapegoat because it's who he is as a person.
That's fair enough. I don't think Conte. I don't think it was Conte's fault either. What happened to him at Spurs. I think the players did let him down big time. I don't think the players ever truly bought into Antonio Conte's style because I think Conte was too hardworking. His training sessions are hardcore. You work your ass off.
Yeah, but then again, that's what some teams need, to be honest, like that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Spurs squad were just so lethargic. And
that's what I mean. It's the Spurs squad. Daniel Levy has not looked at. Daniel Levy's let the squad be too complacent. He needs to make big changes.
The question is, though, is it Daniel Levy's responsibility? Because at the end of the day, if he can see that it's not working by a manager implementing this stuff, get a director of football in, or like some
it's up to him.
Transfers or head
Everton have got a penalty,
for example.
Everton have a penalty
out from that way.
It's up to him to put those people in place, and the fact that he hasn't. The reason why he hasn't is he doesn't want to let go of the power that he has. He's too power hungry. He wants to control everything and do everything, and that's what I think pisses Spurs fans off the most. And then he's not.
The thing I'd like to say as well. Sorry to jump in again, Josh. That is 100% a penalty.
That's getting given. That is getting given.
So
I'm sorry, you can't do that. No chance.
The question is Nagelsmann going to go to Spurs? Because Nagelsmann's been linked to Spurs for a long time. He was massively linked to Spurs before Antonio Conte got hired. So will he get the Spurs job?
I would say no.
He's favoured at the moment. So, Reece, what do you think?
For which part? Sorry.
Nagelsmann to Spurs. He's a favourite.
It's the best choice. I said it on last week's show as well. It's the best choice for the current system they play. The only other manager that makes sense if you're playing a back three is Ruben Amorim. They're the only two that make sense. The rest of them just never really interesting. I don't think anybody else is good enough. I think Spurs really need to look at a lot. I think they've just scored Calvert-Lewin. But either way, I don't particularly think they're great. I don't know. I think it's the right choice, though. I think it's the right choice if they actually back him properly.
In terms of Harry Kane, I think Harry Kane's got 1 year left on his contract. So, what do you do with Harry Kane? Do you keep him around for 1 more year and lose him on a free, or do you sell him now?
I think they have to lose him now. Personally, if they lose him on a free next year, they're the most stupid club in football.
So, where do you think he'll go? Man United? I know United have got big links to him and have for quite a few years now. I don't think he'll not go to Chelsea. He lost his chance to go to Man City. Obviously in the summer past there, they've got Haaland. Can't see him going to Liverpool because Liverpool have got Cody Gakpo and Luis Diaz. So, is Man United, if he was to stay in England, Man United is his only real option?
Yeah, it will be. It will be. If he doesn't stay at Tottenham, he'll go to United, I think. He's not the one I want. A lot of United fans are sucking off Harry Kane like he's the fucking second coming of Messiah. But he's a good player, but he's not really who I want. But if we do get him in, it covers a position for the next few years. But we'll see how it goes. I would rather take Victor Osimhen personally, but take what we're given.
Nathan, what do you think? Do you think Daniel Levy will sell Harry Kane this summer or lose him for free the summer after?
It's difficult because it depends who comes in for an offer. I think he'll sell him.
And you think he'll go to United since that's probably the only real option he has? He won't go to Chelsea because he'll never go to a rival. He can't go to City because Haaland's there. So that really only leaves. I don't think he'll go to Liverpool.
Yeah, for me, it's United or he goes abroad. And I think the best move for Harry Kane will be to go abroad, to be honest.
I can't see him going abroad, to be honest.
I think Daniel Levy will send him abroad. Because at the end of the day, it's not going to a rival. He'll get good money for him. And you won't risk losing him on free next year.
It's Real Madrid. Real Madrid is showing because Karim Benzema is agent. Even though he's still.
I said that at the start of the season. Harry Kane's going to go to Real Madrid.
But then again, Real Madrid are trying to get Mbappe, and they would have to they couldn't buy Mbappe and Kane in the same year, so
they're not getting Kylian Mbappe. They're not getting Kylian Mbappe. I think it's already gone.
What about Barcelona? Because Lewandowski's not been great at Barcelona this season. Do you think he could go there?
No.
It's
Madrid.
A doesn't fit Barcelona's philosophy, their style of play, and C, the financial issues.
Atletico Madrid would probably be a good place for him. I think he would set Simeone's football with the crosses into the box. He'll be heading goals in for fun.
It would work well, but would Atleti spend that much money though?
They spent 100 million euros on João Felix.
They did, but they learned from the mistake.
Harry Kane's proven. I think he would do really well in that league. If it was Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid, I think he would do really well. But I'm interested to see what happens with Harry Kane. But I think there's one thing that is for sure he'll definitely not be staying at. I don't think he'll be at Spurs. Past 2 seasons, he'll not sign a new contract and be tied any longer. No, to be fair, see what Atletico Madrid go forward. They're actually quite good at going forward. It's just they never have the ball to do it that often. But see when they do, they're actually quite elite. They're probably one of the best counter-attacking teams you'll see in Europe. They're lethal at it. And I think if Harry Kane was up there for you just to put a ball into on a counter-attack, it would be absolutely class. Especially with Simeone's 4-4-2 and you had a quick striker next to him. But yeah, Spurs is a weird one. I think Spurs and Chelsea have big decisions and big summers coming up in terms of squad and probably most importantly the managerial appointment. Let's move on to Aston Villa. And I got asked to bring Aston Villa up on a specific point. Do we think Aston Villa could end up overtaking Liverpool during the last 4 games of the season?
Possibly.
Because I've seen someone say, you look at Liverpool's last 4 games and their form, and you look at Aston Villa's last 4 games and their form, and Aston Villa could very, very well sneak their way into 5th and finish there at the end of the season. What do you think?
It depends on a lot of things, to be honest. And no matter what happens, Aston Villa are going to end the season strongly. But it entirely depends on Liverpool. If they keep up the form that they're going on now, not bottling in the second half as they've been doing, or if they completely capitulate it and give it to Villa. But I don't know. I just think Villa are unstoppable at the moment and they're going to pip into it. And there's even a chance that Villa could get Champions League for me.
I don't think they'll get Champions League.
119th minute, Wolfsburg have just scored.
Incredible.
Arsenal are out of the Champions League.
Just to your point there, Julio, Liverpool's game in hand is against Fulham. And Fulham, even though Fulham can't really get Europe and obviously they're not going to get relegated, they're still a really good. They give City hell of a game there on Sunday, so they did City really, really struggled to get a result against them. I think Fulham will beat Liverpool. I think Fulham will beat Liverpool at Anfield on Wednesday night. So I think that game in hand will end up in 0 points, and then Aston Villa is right up their backside, and Aston Villa have the favourable form and the favourable ties going into the last 4 games of the season. Reece, I brought Aston Villa because there was a question I came in and saying, when you look at Aston Villa's last 4 games and Liverpool's last 4 games and the form both teams are in, Aston Villa could finish 5th and above Liverpool.
Oh yeah, I think Villa are the one that's actually going to do it. I think Villa are going to get I think Villa will get Europa League as the 5th place spot. I think Liverpool might just scrape it. You'd expect it, and Tottenham should get the Conference League, but I think it might be Brighton. But
I was saying that Leicester scored.
Yeah, I saw that.
This is a good game now.
You want Brighton to get. I think Brighton deserve Europe because it's hard for me to obviously judge next season, but do we see Brighton being up there next season? Do we see them being this good again next season? Do you really think this needs to be their season to get Europe? Because surely the likes of Aston Villa, Spurs, Liverpool, United, Chelsea, they should. Fulham definitely. They could be up there next season. Surely they'll be pushing for the European spots next year. So if you're Brighton, surely it's now or never for you to get Europe.
I wouldn't say it's now or never because I think they're going to push on again next season. Because as we've seen before, Brighton just seems to get stronger and stronger and stronger, and they can do that with this squad definitely. Nice young squad, plays well. De Zerbi will have actually had a full season at this point going into next season. So if they don't make it this year, then the lack of Europe could actually spur them on and push them into it next season.
What do you think, Reece?
Yeah, 100%.
But the thing you've got to watch as well is, sorry to jump in, Reece.
That's all right.
They've never actually played in Europe before as a club.
Which would be
even throughout their history. In fact, they'd only just made it into the top flight, obviously, about 6 years ago. So it's going to be a massive step for them either way. And even if they make Europe, they don't make Europe, their fans will be happy. And in fact, I'd even say it's better for them to wait until next season where they can actually do it because they're not exactly going to lose any players, are they?
Okay, go another question. I was going to move on to Arsenal very quickly. I got a question about Manchester United. Reece, obviously Manchester United have had a good season so far. We've won a trophy. We're in another final, and we're definitely going to get top 4. For looking ahead to next season, what positions do you think are a massive improvement area needed?
Goalkeeper, right back, centre back, midfielder, striker.
Goalkeeper seems to be a really controversial one because David De Gea,
there's nothing controversial about it. There's
David
nothing
De Gea
controversial about it.
He's not
I don't care that he's got the most clean sheets in the league. Like even though he's got the most clean sheets in the league, we're generally not good enough at all. We are just when we're trying to build a team that wants to control the possession from the back and actually play it from the back, he does not do that for us at all. It's generally time for us to move on. It's generally time for us to move him on. I think we need a competent right back to compete with Wan-Bissaka. I don't think Dallo is particularly good enough, even though I like Dallo. Centre backs, Maguire's shit. Lindelof is the only, in the nicest way of speaking, Maguire is shit.
He's terrible.
Lindelof is a quality centre back, but we need somebody else beside him. We need a midfielder in there because McTominay's generally not good enough. Fred's a decent player, but I think at some point we need to move him on. I don't think we're going to sign Sabitzer on a permanent deal. Eriksen, we'll see how he goes. And a striker, because Martial and Weghorst generally aren't good enough. We generally need that in general. So yeah, goalkeeper, right back, centre back, midfielder, and a striker.
Yeah, I know you're very good with names and positions. So tell me who you're. I know. Try and keep it as realistic as you can, but tell me your 5 replacements for those 5 positions. But try and keep them realistic.
Even if it's just 4, but some do it. So David Raya, Timber from Ajax, and then I would say, I think if we have to go for it, then Harry Kane, but I prefer Victor Osimhen. And then in midfield, it looks like we're trying to sign Madison, which is mental, but okay. But it means we might change system.
Too many numbers.
I would take McAllister personally from Brighton.
McAllister will leave Brighton this season. To be fair, I think he will leave Brighton this season.
And I would take Kenneth Taylor as well. I think he's a fantastic player.
I do think McAllister will leave Brighton, so that's probably a really good shout. Was Timber not close to joining Man United there last summer? But Ajax were
they asked him to stay, and then. He's like fine, but he's already came and told him he wants to leave this time. He wants to leave. He wants to go. So they'll let him go. And there we go. Arsenal are out. Bye bye.
Hey.
In front of your own fans. And hold that. No, generally, I think I'm at that stage where I've got no issue with David De Gea personally, but I think goalkeeper wise he needs to move on. I think we need to get someone smart that's actually good and competent at building from the back. That's the way that Ten Hag wants to play. It's about time that we actually just go for it instead of wasting time. Timber, right back and centre back cover are already there. Versatile in those positions, good in the ball. He's quick, so his recovery pace will be good. And then if we can get a midfielder that can cover that position beside Casemiro, we're fine. Eriksen will be fine in that sense. I don't think we're going to keep Sabitzer, even though I would keep him. And we also need to be able to figure out who we're going to rotate with Fernandes as well, because he's not going to be able to play every game either. And then striker, it's going to be Harry Kane. But I've seen as well that we're being linked to Kolo Muani as well from Frankfurt. I wouldn't mind Tim either as a young striker, but consistency is the key for him as well. But he'll cost a lot of money as well for a young age. He'll cost a lot of money. We've got to be very careful. About that.
Just see what we're talking about this summer. I think a question I'd like to ask you, which I think will be good for the future. What's the update on the owner situation? Are you going to have any owners by the summer, or is there still a long way to go? And at the moment, is it the Saudis? Is it Jim Radcliffe? Who's the favourite at the moment to take over the club?
The favourite to actually take over the club is Sir Jim Ratcliffe, actually, purely because the deal he's actually offered seems to be more favourable to the Glazers themselves. It seems to be the one that they actually prefer. I don't think the Sheikh Jassim's offer has actually done anything significant. If he's got all that money and he clearly wants to buy the club, then just go ahead and do it. I think he's generally just taking the piss. I've never wanted state ownership to begin with. But if that's who we get, then that's who we get. But I generally don't think I don't think he actually is sincere. If he's all that money, if he wants to buy the club, then go ahead and drop the $6 billion. But I clearly think he's just not interested at all. I think Jim Ratcliffe will want to try and get in straight away, and he wants football control transfers as soon as he gets ownership. He wants that control, which I think is smart. And then the following year, he'll just pay the rest of them out. But if they want to buy the club, then go ahead and do it. That's smart. I'm looking at the chat as well, and I know Hell is saying Ivan Toney. I'm not bothered about his scandal. I still wouldn't take Ivan Toney anyway. I think he's a good striker, but no thanks. Osimhen would be the one I would go for. The only other one I would say is Vlahovic.
I'm just going to make a very quick. See, when you talk about what you say, Osimhen, I've been trying to sneak this in. I felt so unhappy that Napoli cannot clinch the league at home yesterday. They came so close, but they just couldn't see it over the line, which really annoyed me because the atmosphere within the stadium when they scored was incredible, but they just couldn't see it over the line. But Napoli obviously are going to win the league, but I would just like to see them clinch it yesterday and have it over and done with.
Yeah.
Yeah, see when Man United are officially took over, if it is by the Quartarians or Radcliffe or whatever, Man United are going to be financially difficult to keep up with, and that goes for Man City and that goes for Newcastle too. Trying to keep up with that club financially and compete with them in the market's going to be very difficult. But if you think about the money that Man City have, the money that Newcastle have, the money that Chelsea have, the money that Man United could have, it's going to create a very competitive and difficult market, and a lot of teams are going to be fighting and offering incredible wages and incredible contracts. It'll be interesting to see how that, pans out, because we think it's bad now. Once these clubs, because Arsenal could sell, or there's a lot of talk about Arsenal, Gilton's getting sold here, and also Liverpool, PSG as well, even though it's not really going anywhere, they're still up on
I actually don't think Stan Kroenke will sell Arsenal. I think you can see the involvement he's been in this year, like how well Arteta's done. You can actually see. I actually think he won't sell. I'd be surprised. I don't think Arsenal will be sold. I think Stan Kroenke will actually just become more involved. I think
so.
Actually, out of the Arsenal owners have been called out by fans. I think Stan Kroenke's actually changed his mind about Arsenal. I think he actually is being more involved with their club. So
and not only that as well, I've got to add, he's made his son run it a lot more as well.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
listens to the fans a lot more, and that's why he's turned around so quickly. If he hadn't have had his son so much involved, then they would still be wanting him out.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's talk about Arsenal very quickly. It's a very simple question. Arsenal looking to win the league, are they? So they've got this.
The league's over. It's over. It's going to Man City.
City
are not going to slip up?
No, Man City won't lose a game for the rest of the season.
So you're saying they're going to win the Champions League?
No, they won't win the Champions League.
So are you just talking about the Premier League when you say they're going to win?
City will only win the Champions League. I think we'll win the FA Cup, and I think Real Madrid or AC Milan will win the Champions League. Arsenal are not winning the league. It's generally over.
They completely bottled it.
They bottled it, yeah. And then they got pumped as well. They got pumped off City as well. City are not... I think City will drop points. They might draw 1 or 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not losing. They're not losing a game for the rest of the season at all. I don't think they will.
A lot of Arsenal fans have been saying...
Vardy's just scored, I think.
Hang on.
I think Vardy's just scored 2-1.
Madison. Go on. Hang on, no, Leicester on the break. Not Leicester and Everton are on the break a minute.
I didn't catch that.
I know, so. That's terrible mistake. Vardy through. Oh, lovely. Straight on the keeper.
A lot of Arsenal fans have been saying the sole reason why they have capitulated is Saliba. Do we buy into that? No, it's bigger than just losing your one centre back. What was it just pressure at the end of the day for them?
I don't think so. I think it's just cockiness at the end of the day.
What do you think, Reece? Was it Saliba? Was it the mentality? Was it the pressure?
I was on a watch along with a friend for the Arsenal game versus Southampton, and you can see just how bad they are without. You can see how bad they are without Saliba. I don't think Gabriel's particularly that good. I think he's good when Saliba plays beside him. I don't think he can lead a team at all. I don't think Zinchenko can lead a team. I think Zinchenko's a good player, he's a good professional. I think the only genuine leader they've got is actually Martin Odegaard. I don't think Partey's a leader. I don't think Xhaka's a confusing one. I think his temperament lets him down, but he actually is a good professional. I generally think the only leader they actually have is Martin Odegaard. And I think you see when he's not on it, the team does sink. When he is on it, they are brilliant. Like, they are extremely good. So I think it comes down to that. But all in all, I think it's more about mentality and the fact they've never been there before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's fair enough. And obviously, yeah, so they're going to win the league. In your opinion, so going from the Premier League to the Champions League, this is where it gets very exciting because these two semi-finals are just incredible. So you've got probably the two best teams in Europe, and Man City and Real Madrid going at it. And then you've got a Milan derby, which I know Reece is going to be very excited for the Milan derby as a Champions League semi-final. Both legs at the San Siro. That the atmosphere in that place, both legs, it's got to be probably one of the best atmospheres we probably see this season. Let's start off with the game of where Reece doesn't have to be biased, and that's Man City and Real Madrid. Obviously, European giants, European experience. They've got so many good European trophies behind them in the Real Madrid camp, from Ancelotti to Toni Kroos to Modric, to Benzema, and then you got Man City who are still aiming to win their first Champions League, and so we got Pep Guardiola can just not get over. Obviously, this ties next Tuesday. And Nathan's not going to be with us next week because he's away on away holiday. So this is why we're talking about the Champions League. That's why we're talking about the Champions League now, so he can be involved in it. Maybe do a slight touch on it next week. I'll start with you then, Nathan. Man City, Real Madrid, two legs. Who's going to go first?
It's so difficult, this one, because at the end, we all know what Man City have been like in the last few years in the Champions League. Bottling it. I don't know why there just seems to be a different mentality with this Real Madrid side. And I know Pep's going to have them going in with all confidence and everything, saying this is your time to have it. You've clawed back the Premier League after being second for so long. But I just think there's that bit of extra strength in that Real Madrid side, to be honest. I think Man City will grind it out well at home. But when they go to the Bernabeu, I think it's going to be a different story. I'm saying 3-2 on aggregate to Real Madrid.
Benzema versus Haaland is a very, very
Incredible.
Spicy and interesting. And then you got De Bruyne versus Toni Kroos. You got Rodri versus probably Valverde. You've got Kyle Walker against Carvajal. You got Ederson versus Courtois. Like, you can go through the whole team and just name what a great duos there is in this game. Reece, who's going to make the Champions League final between these two? Absolute. Both teams are in incredible form. They've got incredible number nines. They've got incredible managers. It is so hard to tear these two teams apart. But do you think Real Madrid's Champions League experience and legacy will pull them over the line against City, or will Pep Guardiola finally get into another Champions League final?
I'm honestly not sure.
It's so hard to call. It's so hard to call.
Either one could do it,
Yeah, I think either team is good enough to reach the final. I think it's also naive to say whoever comes from that side is the one that's actually going to win the final. I think that's incredibly naive, because the other two fantastic sides have got European pedigree as well. So I think you've got to show Milan and Inter some respect, even though I can't stand the black and blue shit. I think you have to give them some respect as well. It's naivety. But when it comes to City, they have a very good squad. If this had been last year, I'd have said Real Madrid all day long, and I did, and Real Madrid won it because Man City let them off the hook. Man City in both games, Bernabeu and the Etihad, were comfortably the better team. They were the better team in both legs by a mile.
Mm-hmm.
But they let them off, and they gave them the chances, and Madrid scored. This year, they've got an absolute demon up front. That could split the difference there. This year, Haaland has been superior to Benzema. He's been superior to every striker, and actually, I'll rephrase that. Haaland has been superior to every attacking player in La Liga this year. I think it comes down to him. I think it comes down to, will they give him the chances against Madrid to take them? And if he takes those chances, he only needs one or two realistically, and he'll score. They have to take their chances to beat Madrid, but Madrid still have that overwhelming experience in their squad that can seriously do something. I'm going to go 2-2.
Saying that Vardy's just scored again.
Ha, lol. I'm going to go 2-2 over both
No,
legs.
Ignore me.
I'm going to go 2-2 over both legs. And I think Real Madrid might win this on penalties. But I don't know. I think this one's more likely to go to penalties than the Milan Inter game, to be fair. I think this one's more likely to go to penalties. I don't know. It's hard to call. It's very hard to call.
It's going to be one hell of a game to watch, and I'm sure both of you two will be watching it with very fine interest. Well, let's move on. Let's move on to the Milan derby then, Reece. This one's all yours. AC Milan, Inter Milan, San Siro, 2 legs. Incredible thing. This is a 2-legged Champions League semi-final between these two teams. What do you think? Who's going to win the Milan derby?
I think we have to grind out a draw in the first leg because Tonali suspended due to yellow cards. I think we have to grind out a draw. But we have far better European experience and a better European history than Inter Milan does by a mile. I think Inter have a more stronger squad. I think Inter Milan do have a stronger squad, but I think Milan have a better mentality. I think the fact as well, the past 4 or 5 games in a row, Rafael Leao's finally hitting the form that he was in last year when he was the best player in the league. And he's been getting assists and goals for the past 4 or 5 games. He's on form brilliantly. He got the assist for Salamaker in the 97th minute against Roma to tie the score. So it really is going to come down to that. Inter have the home leg first, I believe. I believe it's Inter Milan that have the home leg. I'll just double check just now for you. Doesn't really matter anyway who's got the home leg, because it's going to be packed anyway. It's going to be Inter Milan fans the whole way through anyway. Like, you'll see whoever has the first leg will just be. Whoever has it first will just have their entire fans sell out. The other fans won't even be in there, so it doesn't really matter. It's AC Milan have home field advantage first. So it's not like the last time when Inter was up. Actually, no, Milan had it first last time in the away goals rule. We went through 1-1, the away goal rule. I do look at it, though, in the sense of it that we have to avoid, if we can avoid defeat without Tonali and then get Tonali back in for the second leg, we're fine. We're fine. But I think it comes down to, it does purely come down to who gets that crucial result. I still think Pioli has to go, though. Even if he wins the Champions League, I don't care. He still needs to go.
Even if he wins the Champions League?
Yeah, even if he wins the Champions League, he still needs to go, because I don't think he's actually done enough this year. You do not go, in my opinion, from being league champions to 4th. Well, not even that, 5th, because of Juventus getting their points back. You don't go from 1st to 5th and have to rely on winning the Champions League to get back into it. In my opinion, even if he wins the Champions League, you sack him. And the minute he actually, if he wins the Champions League, the day after, I would sack him straight away. I would be like, here's your P45, goodbye.
Just briefly on the Everton last game, Everton missed the sitter, and then they just missed another chance, and Farley went straight up the other pitch and hit the crossbar. It's a bit of an open game, this one. Here's a question from your good friend Gilio, Reece. Apart from Spalletti, who would you want to come in?
Oh, good question.
Allegri or De Sherby?
Also, both my managers had shit seasons with Champions League semi-final appearances.
Correct.
Sorry, who did you? I want Spalletti. Who do you want?
It'll either be Spalletti Allegri or De Zerbi. But I've already said if Allegri doesn't get given a new contract by Napoli, I'd take Luciano Spalletti right there and then. Straight walk-in. Easiest decision Milan could ever make. And it'd be a funny thing as well. We won the league under Pioli. Inter Milan sacked him. It'd be even funnier if we won the league under Spalletti after he got sacked unfairly sacked by Inter as well. So Spalletti would be my top choice anyway. I wanted him at AC Milan years ago. Didn't get him. But I would take him. I would still take him now. I think he's excellent. He's one of my favourite Italian managers because he doesn't play an Italian style, but he still at least knows how to coach a defence. I think he's a phenomenal manager. He'd be my top choice. Allegri is the only reason I see Allegri coming in is because Juventus aren't treating him well. That's a good question. I think it's some of the players, they just aren't interested in the style of play. I think Allegri, yes, he's a winner, but he also understands, just like Spalletti, just like De Zerbi, he knows the league so well. He knows this AC Milan team after coaching against them as well for the best part of 3 years. It's the best shout besides Spalletti in terms of experience, but a winner. I would take Allegri for the winner sense. I would take Spalletti because he coaches amazing, good, effective football. Look at what he's done for Kavica Kvaratskhelia. If he can do that to Rafael Leao, you're cooking something deadly as fuck. And he would also move I think he would actually put Tonali on his own as a defence midfielder, and I think he'd actually put Benacer into the role that Zambo Anguissa would play. And I think he would play him as more like the destroyer version of a number 8. And then you've got whoever plays in number 10 role, probably De Ketelaere, because Brahim Diaz is not. Real Madrid have decided that Milan are not allowed to sign him permanently after all. They've decided to change their minds, so we're not allowed to get Brahim Diaz anymore. So even though we actually had that agreed anyway, they've decided to change their mind. I think it would be I would take Spalletti purely for that sense. It's just the 4-3-3 under him would work so well. Tomori, Kalulu, Calabria, Theo Hernandez, Florenci as well, familiarity. Malik Tio, who's been excellent. Mainan, the best goalkeeper in the league. The one thing he would have to do straight away if he comes in is get a right winger. He needs a right winger because that's a problem position. Would Spalletti's time at Inter harm the opportunity for him to take the Milan job? No. No, I don't think so, because even though he done really well at Inter, they still got rid of him to get Conte. They still got rid of him, even though he was actually... I think Spalletti would have won the league that year. The year when they got Conte, I think they would have went and won it anyway, even though Maurizio Sarri was given the job. I would have still kept Spalletti if I was Inter Milan owner at the time. But Pioli did okay at Inter Milan as well, and they still sacked him. And he comes to AC Milan, he gets third, then he gets second, and then he wins the league. So it is certainly possible. I don't think it matters if there's Inter Milan manager or AC Milan manager. They both end up at the different clubs anyway. It seems to be a recurring theme between both clubs. I don't think it generally matters. I think Spalletti would be fine regardless. I think he walks into that Milan position comfortably. I also think Luis Enrique could get the Milan job. I think Luis Enrique would be a deadly position as well if they got him. I actually wonder as well how many trophies Milan could feasibly win under Luis Enrique. I think he would easily walk the league with that team. I think he easily could. 1 or 2 signings, maybe midfield and right wing. If it's not an Italian manager, I would go for Luis Enrique for a ready-made now with good football. If it's a project, I would see Nagelsmann. I hope not, because I want to see Milan win a Champions League again. Conte couldn't manage 2 games a week if his life depended on it. I don't want to see Conte at AC Milan. I think Conte goes back to Juventus if Allegri leaves.
He'll go back to Italy. Yeah. Definitely.
I would say if you want similar style football, Enrique or Spalletti. If you want a winner who plays the same style of play, then you go for Allegri. If you want an exciting manager who's tactical but is one for the future, you get Nagelsmann or De Zerbi. And if you want a psychopath, you get Conte. So that's generally how it goes. That's generally how I think it is. I would take either my final four shouting and decide it amongst. I would say my final four shortlist would be Enrique, Allegri, Spalletti, Nagelsmann. I would really like De Zerbi to stay at Brighton another year. I really would. But
I have a name for you haven't mentioned.
Enrique or Spalletti would be the two I would say the best fit the 4-3-3. Go for it. Who are you thinking?
Frank Lampard.
Fuck off. Gimp.
Seamus Coleman's been stretched off for Everton.
Another injury.
Leicester as well.
Good Nathan Patterson is on for Seamus Coleman. Obviously, haven't player Reece. We're going to have to move on from this topic because it's so hard.
Another thing about that is I don't think Milan will be able to afford Chiesa, but I tell you who we could afford: Dybala, because he's got a 10 million release clause fee within the league. It's 20 million. No, it's 20 million within the league, and I think it's 20 million for a Serie A club, 15 for a non-Premier League, non-Serie A club. I would have Dybala at AC Milan as that number 10 or right wing. Easy. I think Enrique. I think he'd be perfect under Spalletti or an Enrique.
I've got a couple, so we're going to move on to a couple of things I want to talk about these last 20 minutes. So the first thing is, I want to stick with the European competitions. Do we think Allegri or Mourinho or Sevilla for the Europa League?
I'm going for Roma. I said at the start of the season, if Man United don't win it, Roma win it. And I'm sticking with it.
I've said Roma since the start of the season as well.
Yeah, to be fair, Roma for me as well. At the end of the day, Mourinho, he is the master of the Europa League. He's won it with United. He's going to do it again at Roma. They have a great squad.
Mourinho has had a hell of a season at Roma this year. He has done incredible.
He's never lost a European final as well. I think actually, hold on, no, scrap that. He's only lost one, but that's if you really care about it. I think the only European game he's ever lost was against Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich in the Super Cup. I think that's the only European game. Actually, no, hold on. He lost to Real Madrid under Man United as well when we lost the Super Cup. But in terms of like an actual final, he's never lost. So I actually think you would bet your money. Dybala, people wrote him off, said he was finished. I laugh at people. I love Dybala. He's done amazing for them. Tammy Abraham is back into pure form. Ibanez, Smalling, fantastic. Rui Patricio's done fantastic. That's very true. And in consecutive seasons. He's the only player to ever do that in consecutive seasons as well. Chelsea under Tuchel, the Conference League last season, potentially the Europa League this year.
It'd be crazy for Mourinho, though, that he won his Roma their first European trophy last season in the Conference League and then goes on to win the Europa League and beating big teams along the way to do it. Like it would be. And also, I think they're also going for the Champions League in the Serie A too. So he's done a hell of a job with that team considering
they're in the top four as we speak. They're in the top four. I don't think they'll finish in the top four though. I think they'll win the Europa League. I think Milan will finish. I think Milan could sneak fourth.
Penalty to Leicester.
Yeah, Madison's taken.
He'll score that. Well, he should.
It's Tielemans. Not Madison, Tielemans. Oh no, Madison is taking their money. He took the ball to Tielemans.
I would, I said that a few years ago as well. I still would. If we sign a striker from Serie A, if it's not a big name one like Osimhen or Vlahovic, has been saved, or even Lautaro Martinez, like the big three, I would take Tammy Abraham. I would still take Tammy Abraham, Man United. I think he's fantastic. I don't know why people write him off. I think he's a quality striker. I just have that.
That's a shocking penalty.
Who missed it?
Madison, great save by Pickford. Well,
why the hell are we linked to Madison? Why are we linked to Madison if he's missing a shitty penalty? Fuck that guy.
Exactly.
I definitely think Mourinho is going to win it. I think Mourinho will beat Bayer Leverkusen and then he'll beat Sevilla or Juventus. Sevilla or Juventus in the final.
It'll either be Juventus or Roma that win it. The only thing is though even though I don't think he'll ever win the Champions League, but I'd really like to see Allegri win a European trophy. This guy's went close on 2 occasions, and he's had 2 fantastic Juventus teams in Champions League finals. No, hold on. 2 times. Yeah, we lost to Barcelona and lost to Real Madrid. Generally, such good teams, they've never made it over the line. And this guy continues to keep going and he gets slated for everything. I would generally like to see him win, even if it's just the Europa League. Just to see this guy lift a European trophy because he deserves it. I really would like that. But it'd be funny if Mourinho wins, it'll be so funny because then people have to go, shit, what have we done?
Exactly, especially Spurs as well, for the most part.
Moving on to next, Cardiff City. Nathan. So Cardiff City relegation worries maybe out the window now.
Mathematically safe now.
Are you happier than what you were, and also what's your plans going into next season?
He's not happy. Come on, he isn't happy. His squad's still shit. Their team's still terrible, and his owner's a wanker. He's not happy at all.
At least they're not going to
Reece just summed it up right there, you know. But yeah, terrible performance at the weekend against Huddersfield. We were on the beach. We offered him nothing. Jack Simpson, Reece was absolutely woeful.
Mm-hmm.
Gave away the first goal and also scored an own goal as well, which was completely dreadful. And it's not a sense of being happy about us staying up. It's a sense of relief, But the main thing is Reading are going down. And to answer your question, Josh, Julio's pretty much mentioned it there. No one knows what's going to happen in the summer. We don't even know if Lamucci's staying at this point. We don't know what the owners want. We're going down next season.
If Lamucci stays, what does happen for you? And then we'll come to this question in a minute. I think it's a great question by Julio. We'll leave up on the screen.
Very good question. If Lamucci stays, I think we'll build on from it, but he has to be backed. But I don't know how he's going to be backed because he's got 2 transfer embargoes. So, and
you can't get free agents, eh? I think you said that last week.
I think we can now because the embargo we had in January has now been lifted. It's not for these 2 more because we did pay the first installment. But at the end of the day, if you're going to hire Lamucci, you have to keep him and back him. You can't do a Morrison and sack him because we're mid-table. That was lunacy at the start of the season, and that's why we nearly got relegated. But there are so many questions that need to be answered in the summer, and I'm still not backing down from it. I'm still saying Tan has to go in the summer. There is only one way this club is going under his ownership: down.
That's a rally. To answer your question, though, yes, Abraham has I think it's a 65 million euro buyback, I think.
Would you take him back? I'd have him, but would you take him?
But I'm pretty sure this is the summer they have to do it. So they don't do it this summer, then that buyback clause is gone. Would I do it? Yes, I would do it, but I don't think I will.
If he comes back, though, would he be your...
go? Yeah, Lukaku would go.
And here's another question as well, actually. Under Pochettino, I think this might sound bold, but I generally think Man United could win the league with Tammy Abraham as our main striker as well. I actually think we could. If we actually invested around our squad properly and improved it, and we had owners actually gave us shit so we can improve our training facilities and the stadium was actually up to scratch. With Tammy Abraham, I actually think we could actually genuinely win the league. But not straight away. But I think he actually could because the experience he's got at Roma, adding more trophies, adding more crucial goals to his game. He works harder as well. He's very clinical. And he's also suffered a period of no goal drought as well. So he's actually had to work even harder to score, which makes him more hungrier. I think we could win the league with Tammy Abraham, but do you think you could actually win the league with Tammy Abraham under Pochettino?
Yeah, I do. 100%. If Pochettino trims the squad down, gets everyone on the board and gets an actual system in place, yeah, I absolutely think. But I don't see the board doing it. I think the board will look elsewhere. If we keep Kai Havertz, they might keep a Aubameyang for next year. I don't think we'll do it, I think we'll end up regretting that big time. So I'm not looking for Tammy yet. The price they might ask, which would probably be upwards from
It's true. No, I agree. I think though, because even though it's English tax, the fact that he's out in Italy, I think we'd be able to get him slightly cheaper. I actually did see that. Yeah, I mean, I think out the English strikers, I actually think Tam Abraham's actually the better one out of the three main England strikers. I'm the only one that's mental enough to say I think Tam Abraham is a better choice for United than Kane and Ivan Toney. I think all three are great strikers, but I think I would rather have Tam Abraham because he's actually got. I'm not going to use the experience of winning. I think that's harsh on Harry Kane because Harry Kane actually still scores goals and he creates. I think Tam Abraham's just extremely hard working. He's got the pace to back it as well. But looking at a young long-term striker, Oshimen's available. Well, most likely available, but at a big price. Kolo Muani at 21 would cost you 60 million, but it's inexperienced, but he's got experience of playing the World Cup. Tam Abraham's won a European trophy with Chelsea and Roma, but I just think what Abraham brings to the table as well is just something else. I would generally take Abraham, even if he wasn't our main striker. I think he could generally force his way through it. I think he would be fantastic for us, but it depends if we would actually go and do it though. But I generally love Tam Abraham. I generally do. I think he's fantastic.
And then the final team I want to touch upon, which I know Reece is talking about having, is Rangers. Obviously, Rangers lost the Scottish Cup final against Celtic 1-0.
Semi-final.
Sorry, semi-final. Apologies, semi-final. Might as well be a final for Rangers against Celtic. They lost the semi-final against Celtic 1-0. It was a dismal performance yet again, Reece. Are you convinced by Michael Bleed yet? Do you think he needs to go, or is this a really big squad issue?
If you rewatched last week's show, you'll know exactly what I want to happen to Michael Beale.
You want to sack him? I think you said it. I think you said it on the show too, on my channel stuff. I think you have said it quite a few times.
I don't think Michael Beale's good enough. I don't think he's good enough at all. Like, this guy just... I don't even know where to begin, really. And poor performance. I disagree about that as well. I don't think Celtic were that good. Even though Celtic won it, I think Celtic...
I think that's what annoyed the Rangers fans the most, because they consider Celtic were not that good. Rangers never really put a hand on them.
It's 2 Old Firm games in a row where Rangers have actually been the better team and yet have not won the game, which really annoys me. Like, that's the more annoying part. We've actually better than Celtic. Celtic got over the line because of a brown goal from Jota. Other than that, Celtic did nothing. Like, they did fuck all. I don't think Michael Beale's good enough. He doesn't want to keep Malik Tillman, which I think is delusional. Even though I know he hasn't scored against Celtic, but then again, Morelos has only ever scored once against them. This guy's 19 years old. Give him a break. Like, I would keep him. Cantwell's been a decent signing, but it's not enough. Lawrence is back in the squad, but he's not the best at the moment because his injury record. Ryan Kent is a Scouse cunt anyway, and he's shit. Matondo doesn't get enough game time. He deserves more. Scott Wright is barely used in the position he needs to play. Yanis Hadji is still not starting properly. Cholak has been disgraced. I mean, that is horrible. I mean, the minute he got that injury, he's come back. He's never been given a chance since. Kemar Roof is never fit, so just scrap his contract. They need to sell Morelos anyway. They can't afford to let him go on a free. I think Raskin has come in. He's done really well. Barisic has been okay, but I think we need another option there anyway. I think Yilmaz is never going to get a chance. Centre backs, it's only realistically Connor Goldson that works. Davies is crap. Like, he's crap. We're already getting a new goalkeeper anyway. It looks like it's going to be Jack Butland. I've just seen something else as well. Actually, the other day it was very interesting. Freddie Woodman was actually linked to the club in January, and the club actually never told Freddie Woodman that Rangers wanted him, which is actually against FIFA rules. That's a breach against FIFA. That's a FIFA breach. You're supposed to tell a player if a club is interested in you. They didn't. Preston did not tell Freddie Woodman. So I do feel sorry for him. But Tavernier's questionable. I think he's a good player, but defensively he's not the answer. Like, he's more of a goal threat. You can tell every single week that the guy should be a winger of this sense. I would play him as a winger and just get a new right back. There's so much to do. I don't think Michael Beale's good enough. I think they need I think they made the mistake of not getting Gattuso when I said it the first time, or getting Cacheto Knutson, somebody who's actually an attacking based manager. The good thing is though is Ross Wilson is fucked off. The guy's a clown, doesn't know what he's doing. So I'm glad he's gone. More misses than hits when it comes to transfers. And Michael Beale's now got full control of transfers in the summer, and he wants to sign some Norwich boy to replace 5 players. I'm like,
Don't think Lampard.
fuck off! Nobody wants that piece of piss. Nah, I want
get away from Chelsea.
Nah, I want Kjetil Knutson or Gattuso. I think we need Gattuso personally. I think we need somebody who will actually play good football, but will actually get this defence organised.
Bring Jared back.
No, he can't. No, he's not good enough. He's not good enough either. You saw it in his first season. After we won the league, we were lucky they were still top of the league because Postecoglou was still settling at Celtic Park. We weren't good enough. The minute he left, even though we made the Europa League final, we sold Aribo, we sold Calvin Bassey, and we sold Nathan Patterson for big money, and look at the team, it's went to shit. Like, I think it highlights the inadequacy of the recruitment as well. I want to see a proper attacking team next year. Not this crap. I think we could get Gattuso quite easy. I genuinely think we could, and I think we can get Kjetil Knutson as well, because we were after him before, but then we chose Michael Beale anyway. Just remember as well, Gennaro Gattuso called Ibrox his second home from home. Rangers could easily get Gattuso as a manager if they wanted to.
Gattuso will be quite scary at Rangers. That would be a very scary for the can't blame them around. I watch Rangers this weekend.
I actually think Gattuso Gattuso Rangers were 4-3-3. Celtic would you know what's interesting as well is I don't think there's a big gap between Rangers and Celtic. I don't think there is. I watched the overlap between the Rangers Celtic overlap, which was actually fantastic. It was Chris Sutton, who can be a bit of a nightmare, but he's actually a decent pundit, and Ali McCoist, and they made some good comments as well. And I think you actually saw a lot of respect between the Rangers and Celtic fans, and that's actually true. Even though it's a big rivalry, there's still a lot of respect there when you actually have a civil conversation. Ali McCoy said the gap wasn't too big. I agree, the gap isn't too big, but the problem is Michael Beale is Michael Beale. I don't think is good enough, and I think another thing as well. Some of his comments that he's made hasn't helped him either, where he's actually bigged himself up too much. You were a number 2 under Gerrard, mate, and you went to QPR, and then the minute an opportunity came to leave them, you left. So I don't trust your loyalty. Gattuso left because AC Milan wanted him, but he didn't want to leave Rangers. But AC Milan came from of course you're going to go AC Milan. Like nobody's going to turn that down. He became a Milan legend, but he was fantastic at Rangers, and I think I genuinely think he could do something at Rangers, and you would actually make Rangers really good as a team. The only thing that's scary is how Celtic would approach. Hello, my queen. The circumstance of it is he done that really well. Is he actually made his team against rivals hard to play against? So like, whether it be as Milan manager, Napoli or Valencia, he made them hard to play against, but they got rid of him. I feel sorry for him how it turned out at Valencia. I do feel sorry for him, but he's a good coach, Gattuso. I think he's very underrated as well. I think he's very underrated. Him or Kjetil Knutson. I think Michael Beale needs to be told to fuck off. And I would send him packing quicker than anybody. I'd just kick him out.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, here's your office, clear out, goodbye.
Be interesting to see if he actually does get him in it, but at the end of the season. But I suppose that's what makes the summer going. That's what's going to make the summer so interesting. So many departments, you know, who's going to be in what jobs across the Premier League, across Europe, across the Scottish League. Yeah, it'd be very interesting. You guys are still in the Scottish. You guys, the Scottish Cup is like the equivalent of the FA Cup, isn't it? So. Yeah. So I'm just making sure.
That's the one that we won last year, and that's the one that we failed to win. Celtic are probably going to go win a domestic treble again, to be fair. If they win if Celtic win the final, they're more likely to against Inverness. I know If Celtic actually win this domestic treble, that's a world record. Celtic and Rangers are actually tied on 7 domestic trebles apiece. If they win this, then it's a world record. So I hope Inverness beat them. Would you say Gattuso gave Milan stability, which I've not seen in years? Yes, actually. I think when you look at the Milan managers post Allegri, like when they won the league. So Allegri gets sacked after finishing 2nd and 3rd. He was in 4th or 5th, I think, when he got sacked. Then Seedorf came in. Seedorf got sacked on the day of Soccer Aid, which was very horrible. I remember that. He played that game and got the sack. They brought in they brought in Filippo Inzaghi, not Simeone. He's just a shit. They brought in Filippo Inzaghi. Inzaghi gets 2 6th place finishes, but he has a good front three of Jeremy Menez. He was quality AC Milan. You had Kizuki Honda, underrated player. You had Kaká for a season as well under Seedorf and him. You had El Shaarawy. My Pharaoh, El Shaarawy. You had Mbe Niang, and for a while you had Balotelli, and then you had Fernando Torres. Oh God! Then after that, Vincenzo Montella wins the Super Cup on penalties, Milan's first trophy since the league title. We won the Supercoppa Italia against Juventus, which was very good. And then he gets sacked after spending big money the following season. He spent big money after being very clever in his first year, so that went to shit. Gattuso comes in. 2 seasons of the Europa League, despite the FFP. Milan got FFP horribly wrong. Well, actually, I think UEFA punished Milan harshly over any club. I think that was disgusting. But still, Gattuso done very well. The squad played really good football as well. I think they played really good football. The problem is he didn't have a lot of money to actually go and improve the squad. The best player he probably had at that time was maybe Carlos Bacca, which says a lot. He couldn't really do anything. And then since then, you've had a few caretakers now. Pioli, 3 seasons, he's won a league title, playing good football. I still think he's lost the dressing room. I still think even if he wins the Champions League, I don't think he should stay. I don't think he's got the dressing room. I think the only reason they're playing really hard is because they're either playing for a move or they just really want to win it for pride. I think he's lost the dressing room completely. I think that's why I would take Spalletti or Allegri straight away, or even Enrique as a Spanish coach. I do love Enrique. Him or Spalletti would be the 2 best tactical choices. But I think in terms of stability, Gattuso, I think if it wasn't for Gattuso, Milan wouldn't have become league champions under Pioli. I think it all started with Gattuso stabilising everything. So yeah, I agree.
Okay. Well, on that note,
there you go.
Well, you give a perfect explanation. You know Gattuso and the stability of what he's done much more than I do. That's
he done well at Napoli. He done well at Napoli as well. He won their first trophy since Benitez took the job. Like, I mean, Sarri and Ancelotti didn't win a trophy. Rafa Benitez and Gattuso both won the Coppa Italia. But he'd actually done really well. The only thing it didn't work out is because I think they didn't think he could get him to the next level, which is understandable. Spalletti's taken him to the league title, but just like how Pioli has taken Milan to the league title, Gattuso actually settled Napoli's really well after the Ancelotti debacle. Oh, let's run it back. Let's run it back. Maisie, you can have it. Let's run it back.
I don't think he really wants to talk about Cardiff again.
Oh. Awful, man. Awful. I'm just glad I'm going to have to go watch him until August now.
Let's run it back. Give him a bigger screen. Let's go smaller screens for us. Let's just go into the bigger viewing for Nathan. Let's go into 2 small screens. No, keep us in. He has to see our reactions.
Keep him in.
No, like, put him on like the big screen. Just put us like 2 small screens at the side. Like the layout. That's it. Now put him on the first one.
Oh, there we go.
Let's go.
Right, where do I even begin, quite frankly? Like,
let Maisie ask you the questions and you answer.
So bring the questions in.
Hang on, here's your first question. Is Nathan in too much pain?
After this season, yes.
I love you, boy. I love you, bud. So this is the end of it.
I mean, we've still got to play Burnley yet as well, and we could end up finishing one place above the relegation places. Is there enough popcorn for this? Oh boy. You got to ask me the questions to set me off, because the thing is, because of the amount of problems at this football club, I don't even know where to start.
Anywhere you want.
Like where?
Somewhere between destruction and right now.
I will ask you one. I'll ask you one question now regarding the squad. Who do you sell and who do you keep for next season?
You know what? Let's get it on the screen, shall we? Let's do a nice little keep or sell.
Julio's just kind of his gas. So a very similar question. It was great. It was a great win and performance against Rotherham.
It was, to be fair. I mean, Cedric Kipre saving us yet again. Yeah, just absolutely phenomenal at the end of the day. Nice look. When they did concede, I thought, oh boy, we're going to absolutely bottle it here, as we always do. But yeah, Cedric Kipre coming along with a nice shot in the bottom corner, limbs in the away end. And yeah, Rotherham got everything they deserve. Ish. Right. Let's get the full card. Where can I get the full Cardiff City squad up to? Here we go.
You should know. Right. You should know your real squad.
I do. I just got to get it on the screen.
Wait till you see what I'm typing in the live chat.
Oh, here we go. But I did have one job.
There we go.
But at least Reading's going down.
There it is.
There's a lot of Cardiff fans who would happily join me, let's just say, with that one.
Locks in Vaneke, 47 and demands full sale and war beckons.
Right. Can I have a screen share, please?
You certainly can.
Thank you.
I'm going to say, you might have to zoom in.
Yeah. I don't know why. I always have it so far zoomed out. Oh, that is way too close.
So who are you selling? Who are you keeping on your lap punch?
We done this to Spurs last week, but this is going to be so much better.
Right, Ryan Allsop, sell. Straight off. The last few months, he has been absolutely diabolical. Like, the amount of mistakes has been incredible. Like, rushing out, his distribution has been pathetic. Some of the some of the positioning mistakes and the goals he's let in have been incredible. And in fact, it goes to show that he's been terrible when Jack Anick has been incredible in the last few games, which Reece, as you know him well, like, that's no mean feat. Go on, Reece.
He didn't even get a game at Rangers, Jack Anick.
There you go. That says it all. Anyway, moving on. Romeo, keep. Solid player, had his injuries, but decent. Joel Bagan, lots of people are saying sell. I'll say keep as squad depth. McGuinness, keep. He's been decent since he's come back off loan. He does have good distribution, but it can be fairly patchy at times. Let's go through the next three in a row. Keep. Wintle, Ralls, and Itete. Itete's come to his own, to be fair to him, in the last few matches.
Joe Sal, he said.
Shea Yojo, oh my God.
He's so bad.
Sell.
He was so bad at Rangers when he was. You probably remember him at Rangers.
I'm sorry, but it says it all when Sabri subs him off within 55 minutes due to his performance, and he was shocking against Huddersfield as well. Or should I say, it's not Shea Yojo, it's died.
Everton have equalised. Alex Iwobi has scored 2 each.
Wow.
He was generally not that good at Rangers. I mean, I'll literally, like, this is how kind it is. I'll generally tell you what his stats were at Rangers. Like, I can barely remember. I just know he was not good for the club. He was shit. He was shit. At Rangers, let's see. 2 million. What a bloody waste! I could have spent that on something else. He played for the club for what? He was on loan for a season, and obviously went back to Liverpool. But see, like that 1 year, like
absolutely,
it was like watching Death Row. Like it was like watching Death Row. Like that's just how bad it was. Like the guy couldn't score for toffee.
You're
Like,
the corner.
And not only that, the amount of balls he gives away as well is ridiculous. Like, he's had more goal contributions for the opponent than he does for your own team. Like, some of the balls he gives away, straight down the line, bang, goal. It's terrible. Anyway, swiftly moving on from the Ojo slander. O'Dowda, keep, probably signing of the season out of a bad bunch. Sang, I'm going to say keep as well. Lots of our fans wanting to sell, but you've got to have some squad depth there at the end of the day. Denham out on loan for me. Needs a good loan move. JC, Jamalu Collins, played 3 matches, then tore his ACL and was out for the season, so got to be keep. Ibu Adams, we signed for £750,000. Hasn't played a single game for us. Got injured during pre-season and has been out all season. So I'm going to say keep. Romain Sawyers, this is difficult. Sundays, he's amazing. And then on other games, he is absolutely dreadful.
I'm sorry, mate, but I had to put that in the live chat. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Unless he says kind of finish in 8th. Yeah. Well, to be fair, that was a stupid prediction from the start of this season, honestly. But yeah. Anyway, Sawyer, I God knows with Sawyers. Gavin White, loan. I don't see how he gets into the squad. Jack Anick, keep, providing he's your second choice. I don't want him as a first choice, to be honest. Vontae Campbell, what was the point in us signing him? Sell. Cedric Kipre, how on earth are we going to keep him in the summer? I mean, he's on loan from West Brom. They're going to want him back. He was brilliant. Eli King, sell. Jaden Philogene, probably one of the best players in the Championship. Even though with how bad this squad have been, he hasn't shown his qualities. If you watch his highlights, he's been brilliant. How on earth we keep him from Villa is something else. Keep if we can. Jack Simpson, go for this, Reece.
Is there enough time?
Go on.
Utter shite centre back.
So, thank you very much. Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, he scored an own goal and conceded this first goal as well against Huddersfield. So definitely sell. Ruben Colwell, Starboy, keep. Rohan Lufra, third choice goalie as long as he stays third choice goalie. Mark Harris, release at the end of the season. Unfortunately, I like Harris, but he's a striker who doesn't score. Say no more. Connor Wickham, he loves the balloons and he loves the blues, but he's getting released. Sell. Andy Renamutter, keep. Perry Ng, one player of the season. Absolutely love him. Keep. Isaac Davis, keep as well. Callum Robinson, keep, providing he doesn't get injured. And then, sorry, Kabar, how on earth are we going to keep him? I really hope he stays from Midtjylland. He's been brilliant. Keep.
Nathan, are we seeing lots of freebies this summer for signings?
Just like last summer, probably yes.
The worst thing as well, though, is if you sell any of these players, you can't, even if you were to make money on some of these players, you can't even spend.
I know.
I mean,
that's the sad thing about it, you know?
Yeah. But the good thing is, though, is even if you sell some of these players, right? Even if you sell some of these players and you can't sign anybody, you still have the wages to invest into those free agents, at least to try and replenish your squad. You badly need a new owner, though. You badly need a new owner.
Oh, I know. It's ridiculous. I mean, the thing that worries me, as you said about the wages, is if Vincent Tan's just going to gobble them up. Because that was the point of doing a reset last season. A, because the squad was diabolical and they just did not care at all. But B, it was to shrink the wage bill. But then again, the wage bill was reduced from, for example, Alex Smithy's being on 30k a week to the maximum wage being about 12 to 15k.
Yep.
Where's that budget gone? Like,
I know.
Realistically, we're not going to give any player above 15k a week.
Absolutely. We should honestly keep going for a bit longer. We need to keep going a bit longer, honestly, because there's some genuine conversations I think we actually need to have.
Absolutely.
There's some conversations we genuinely need to have right now as well. By the way, this is not a joke. Vincent Tan's net worth is $1.6 billion, according to CelebrityNetworth.com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's horrible. Like
absolutely.
That's just wrong.
May I come back and say, who remembers in 2012 when the vote happened for the Red, 13-0 voted down? comes back and says, right, I'm going to withdraw £100 million of funding. I'm not going to give you a new training ground, and I'm going to kill the club. Goes ahead and does the red anyway. No training grounds. Basically upsets every single fan. There's still boycotts going on now. And financially, we're £109 million in debt.
I know. I think we have to have a serious... I think tonight we need to have some serious conversations about certain things.
Absolutely.
I think one thing we haven't spoken about yet is, funnily enough, we haven't actually spoken about Burnley's points situation. The ones they can have deducted. We haven't spoken about what is and what isn't a good owner, and not just our own clubs. But I think we need to have general conversations about what is and what isn't a good owner. And I think we need to brutally come into this football owner means directors test thing.
Exactly.
I actually think we need to get all through that tonight. I don't think we should. Generally, right now, we went, 2.5 hours last week? I think we have to. Yeah, well,
Incredible.
3.5. I think we have to keep going. I genuinely think we have to keep going.
Because at the end of the day, this ownership talk is relevant here, and it's definitely relevant here.
I honestly think we have a lot to get through. And I'm going to throw us out to live chat as well, because we did do tier lists as well last week, which you've been missing, by the way.
You know what?
Quality tier lists.
Let's do a tier list right now. Premier League
owners.
and EFL owners. Championship, Premier League. Let's
Go look for some.
I will probably have to transfer the stream to you, Reece, because I've got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I'm a bit stuck for time.
Will I need to log in then?
I think I'll have to hand it over to Reece, because I've got work early in the morning, so I can't stay up too much longer. As much as I would love to, it'll be serious for me in the morning. So I think I'm going to have to hand it over to Reece.
Right, what I'll do then is I've opened up a new StreamYard link. What I'll do is I'll log out, and then I've already got your thing saved. So if you can just send me the... I need to get the...
In fact, I would just like to very quickly reply to Maisie's comment. Trust me, there is loads of us like this. And
that's true,
in the last week, the Cardiff City Supporters Trust actually demanded a meeting with Ken Chu, Bennett Dolman, and basically was like, we need a meeting. What on earth is going on? That meeting has not happened yet. For that exact reason, there is no communication between the fan base at all, and also with the owners.
Josh, can you look at the private chat, please?
Birmingham City are in real trouble with their owners.
Their owners are shocking, and in fact, I'm going to put.
Redlands even worse.
If you want to hear some absolutely shocking things about Cardiff City from a true Cardiff City fan, I'm going to put in a podcast. Even listen to the last.
By all means, throw in. I might drop out and then just jump back in, but that's because obviously I need to.
You could just watch that podcast, and that will say in a lot more detail.
You can just move it to your channel if you want. If that's easier.
Well, as in do 2 streams on, do a stream here and then move on to ownership on my channel.
Yeah, because your one's whole is a completely different topic to our one. So if people wanted to go back and watch, it'll be easier for them.
I reckon stay on here, to be honest.
I think we're better staying here. Really, I think we should. It's already tied in the show.
I don't know if you can sign into my account while I'm still on it. I might stream completely.
I should still be able to sign in. Just enter the studio. I should still be able to enter the studio, yeah, and then I can leave the show, come back in, and then I'll be able to end the stream as well if you need me to. I should be able to do that. Right. Okay. So you'll get that code in just literally. Right. I just need to wait on that code, but it should generally be okay, and we will keep going because I think we need to have those. We need to have the ownership discussions. There's generally a lot to get on those, and it's disgusting. It generally is. I'll say as well, I don't trust Rangers ownership either.
No, there's some dodgy stuff about the Rangers ownership going around at the moment.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right. If you can just send me that code, I will sign in.
Is Birmingham in that? No, Birmingham aren't in that list for some reason.
It should be there.
I would love to stay with you guys, but yeah, I'm going to work early in the morning, so I need to.
Right, I've got a
get
tier
some
list.
sleep
Right. I'm logging in now, so give me 1 second. If it lets me enter studio, then I can leave and bounce back in. So let's have a look. Yes, right. I'll drop out and drop back in. I'll be 5 seconds.
No worries.
See, told you. 5 seconds.
There we go. Right. Well, I'm going to leave you guys with Reece and Nathan to talk about the ownership plans when I go to bed. 'Cause I have work very early in the morning, so
No
I
worries
have
at
to.
all.
I have to head. So, guys, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your conversation. And so apologies I can't stay, but
Legend.
unfortunately, I have to prioritize work, so don't be working.
No, it's nobody's did. Nobody's did.
So-
And
So,
remember, the quiz is at the very end of the month, so you better be there.
oh, I can't wait for the
No
quiz.
problem. And
Saying that as well, Julio, Devils United, Maisie, BBL, if you want to
All
come on.
welcome.
Anyone who wants to come
All
on,
welcome.
come on.
and Reece, I will see you next Monday when it's just us two for the podcast.
Yes, I'll see you next Monday, bud. I'll see you next
Yeah.
Monday.
Enjoy it.
Or even if you don't want to take part in the quiz, but you want to be co-host of the quiz and ask your own questions relevant, that's also allowed as well. I want to add as much as we can to the quiz going forward. We might do some new things. But anyway, where was I? I'm the new host, so I'm going over there, naturally.
He's right.
But
I think the tier list is ready.
once you're ready to share, we will go for it. If anybody wants to jump on and do this tier list with us, I will drop the link in the live chat. I will do that now. Copy. There's no one on. Is there anyone watching? Yeah, it's just YouTube, which is fine. So the link is in the live chat. So BBL, Maze, Julio, if you want to come join us, feel free. Here is the live chat, and this is going to be very, very interesting. So you've got amazing owner, great owner, decent, not good, not bad, so it's relatively okay. Not the best, bad, sell. I think we already know who's going in those categories.
Absolutely.
But this is going to be quite questionable. It's not just our opinions, it's the live chat's opinions, so be as fair as you want. I think, how do you want to do this? Do you want to start from the top down, or do you want to start from bottom up like we did last week? What do you want to do?
Let's say start from this order, to be honest.
Okay. We'll wait and see if
What have
anyone
we got on
wants to join.
screen? So starting with Forest.
Right, there's Julio. So Julio wants to join, that's fine.
Safety, mate, welcome back.
It's good to be back. Now, I needed
Amazing.
to come in for this. When it comes to ownership, I need to drop my 2 cents.
Fair enough. That is certainly warranted. That is certainly warranted. So we are starting with, is that Nottingham Forest?
That is Nottingham Forest.
Okay, I'll throw over to you first then, Nathan.
Straight up for me, I'm going to go indecent. I don't think he's been the greatest owner in the world, considering when he first came in with the amount of managerial changes that they had. He didn't sort of control it well, but I think over time he is learning. He's done well at Olympiacos as well, so he has credibility. But I don't think he's fully overwhelmed as Forest. When they get the stadium, stadium redevelopment done, and when they remain in the Premier League, he could potentially look at going in amazing owner. But for now, he just goes indecent for me.
Put in the live chat as well for anyone that's watching where they think. So all my comments will appear as Josh, but that's okay. Julio, what do you think?
I'm going to go with not the best, actually.
Okay.
Olympiacos this season, I think they've sacked at least one manager. I think I read somewhere they sacked another, but I'm not entirely sure.
That is true.
They've sacked 3 managers, and there's been a merry-go-round of managers at Forest and Olympiacos for a long time now. So I'm impressed that he's stuck by Steve Cooper. You could argue that last season Forest shouldn't have been where they were. So when Cooper came in, add maybe a new manager bounce, momentum and quality in the squad, that's what drove them to the playoffs, because we've seen it before where a manager change and then it's almost like the new manager bounce takes them with momentum a lot further than maybe they even anticipated from when they sacked the manager.
Yep.
So I think that also the recruitment for Forest this season, now I know they've let go of a lot of players from their loans and their like end of contracts last summer. Let's have it right before people start going, how do they sign 20-something players?
Mm-hmm.
But some of them, granted, Serge Aurier is Premier League proven. But if I'm building a team for the Premier League, Serge Aurier on a free transfer is not the one I'm making, because he's a very erratic, defensively ill-disciplined right back. He's more of a wing back than an actual fullback. Spurs have, I keep saying this, Spurs had him with that description. They released him and replaced him with Emerson Royale, who is also defensively ill-disciplined and erratic, which is poor recruitment on
absolutely
Spurs' part. But I think the merry-go-round of managers, Marcelo and James Rodriguez were at Olympiacos this season and they've already left and the season's not even finished.
And saying that as well, in addition to that, look at the amount of what you could call big names that their Greek owner has actually installed at Forest that hasn't worked. John Joe Shelby, the biggest example.
Yep,
yeah,
I agree.
That's why I say not the best. There's been such a huge turnover, and it's if they stay up, I think it's incredible, but only not because of the quality in the squad, because they have it. I think Dean Henderson not playing actually has a part to play in that, as well as other teams have worked out Forest's formation in a way.
Yeah.
Since January, February time. So I think those combined, but I think it's impressive they stay up because of the lack of stability over the last 10 years. It's ridiculous.
For me, Reece, you get the deciding vote on this one.
I agree. I think I'm actually going to go devil's advocate in the sense of it, because you've got, like, no pun intended. But, like, when you look at it, I think that's a good comment as well. And the kind of way they had no choice but to go over the top of the transfers. They lost 20 plus players in the summer, which was down to them. True. Of course, I agree. I think when you look on that, you have to base it as well. They've also stuck by their manager, and I do think I think this is valid as well. And straight down the middle, I'm going to go based on that. So I'm also going to say not good, not bad. Split down between not the best and decent. I think it's right in the split. Bournemouth. I'm going to start in this one. I'm going to go right to the flag. I actually think Bournemouth have been a great owner.
I agree. I have to agree. Since their new American investments come in, they have been very decent. The only thing
by the way.
Absolutely. The only thing that keeps them out of amazing for me is if they get a training ground and also a stadium redevelopment in there, and also securing in the Premier League. They know what they're doing upstairs. They've got the fans on board. They're up there for me.
But would you make a case? Sorry just to jump in quickly on that comment regarding training ground and stuff. Could you make a case that maybe, because the point is, Eddie Howe did well at Bournemouth on almost a shoestring budget. It wasn't until their final summer that I think they spent big money. I think they spent a bit of money before, but not as much. Like when they came up, they were signing the likes of Josh King, Benik Afobe, championship-proven players. So could you make an argument that they didn't have the fluidity in their money to be able to go and, we'll invest heavily on a nice new training ground like other clubs have?
I think it's possible. I think it's possible. Fair comment from Maisie saying decent, too early to say, but so far so good. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think another thing as well though is I don't necessarily think they need a stadium redevelopment. I just think they just need to find out if the capacity they want is actually fitting for the club. It's always been a small
the thing
group.
You've got to remember is as well that they've even had problems filling it.
Yeah, I think they have to try and find different ways to make Bournemouth more attractive. I actually think, I've never been to Bournemouth, so I can't comment, but I actually wonder if maybe the community based around Bournemouth is actually good enough where it's actually attractive to go to the ground. They've got a good atmosphere. They've got a decent atmosphere when you watch them on TV. Like United Bournemouth was actually a good atmosphere away. I think they have that in their locker. It's just purely, is Bournemouth as a place to live, the actual location, is it attractive enough? I don't know, so I can't comment.
It is a football team, because I've been to Bournemouth quite a few times, and where Dean Court is located is quite a way out, and it is a bit of a pain
Sure.
to get there. And you mainly think of Bournemouth, right? Beaches,
Good
Harry
comment there,
Redknapp,
Mace.
and
Good
stuff
comment.
like that.
Harry Redknapp.
And
You had
at
to
the end of
bring
the
in-
day,
You
yeah,
had to bring up the man who actually used Bournemouth to beat United in the FA Cup. You sad bastard.
absolutely.
No, it's the fact that it's the second thing he thought of. When you think Bournemouth, you think beaches, and then straight to Harry Redknapp.
I think this as well. I
Absolutely.
think that's a fair comment. You can't put
Very
the location because you look at other teams as well. Like certain shitty Scottish teams are stuck in the Highlands where it's actually impossible to get to. Or if you go play Arbroath up north, the stand, this literally the left. I spoke about it last week. The stand, if you're sitting on this side, if you're on like the east side, on the right hand side of you, that corner is so empty. It's a big gap. You kick the ball out that way, it's going into the fucking sea. It's literally, if you kick the ball hard enough, you're kicking the ball into the sea. So it's actually like a waste of it. You have to have I think location's hard to blame on it. I do see your point, but I wouldn't blame that. My biggest fear when it comes to Bournemouth is attraction. If you cannot get an attraction based on where to stay, can you at least make it more attractive by the players you bring in? And judging by signings these new owners have done, they've tried to make they've tried to make that more attractive. So I think for that reason alone is why they should be in the higher echelon. They shouldn't be considered middle to below. They shouldn't. Oh, what a comment. Everton may kick the ball in the Merseyside River with the stadium.
Or when they get relegated and they have to only finish half of it, bang, straight into the Mersey.
I love you, babe. That was a quality comment. Yeah, I think it's certainly possible. It'll be funny. If they get relegated and they have to play in that new stadium, I think a lot of people are going to start celebrating. Like that would be the funniest thing of all time. But I think when you look at it, there's a serious question. So we'll stick with decent. I think that's fair. Now for the big one. Well, one of the big ones. But in terms of it's the first big one so far. Arsenal. Now I made a case earlier on about Stan Kroenke saying I don't think he's going to sell. And I think if this had been 3, 4, 5 years ago, I would say bad to sell.
I agree.
I would. Now on the other hand, yeah, I actually do think Stan Kroenke actually looks, especially with his son, they look like they actually give a shit about Arsenal. Because if they didn't give a shit, Arsenal would not be in the top 2. They would be nowhere near based on the players they've signed and the general consensus of the club. I would have to say Stan Kroenke now is either decent to great. Not amazing, but for the past 2 years, turnaround, maybe 2.5, I would say great to decent. But it's up to you guys.
I was more sort of thinking not good, not bad, because I'm in the same consensus as you. I would have put them way down a few years ago, but the way it has evolved, there is still work to be done. That's why I'm thinking middle ground at the moment, but turnaround's been very good. That's
very fair. Maisie saying Arsenal not the best, massively underachieving the history they have. Good point. They're doing well this season and they're backing Arteta's, which is why I won't put them any higher. That's a very fair comment. So not the best from Maisie. Where are you putting them, sorry?
I was going to put them not good, not bad, because another thing you've got to look at ownership is fan engagement and fan approval as well. Say, for example, supporters clubs. Are they communicating with the owners? Are the owners listening to the fans? Are the owners doing what the fans want, for example, or are they going and doing their own thing and ignoring them? And is there still protests going on? Yeah, there's a load of factors you've got to consider. The protests have pretty much evaporated against the Kroenkes, but I do think there is more to be done. So
I agree. I think that's an interesting one. What about you, Julio? You have decided and vote.
I'm going to say my decision, and then we're going to explain why I think it is, because it's a decision that bases around what happened more in the past. I'm going to put...
That's a very good point.
True.
Yeah.
And they're still the most expensive season ticket in the Premier League, aren't they?
Yeah, like 1.5 is ridiculous.
Humour.
Yeah. I think Fulham is going up next season, though.
Fulham's going up on the new stand, yeah.
Yeah, I think theirs was something like £3,000.
Yeah, it was like $3,000.
Yeah, disgusting.
That's 2 times more than the car that I'm actually going to be buying. That says a lot. But carry on, my man, carry on.
I'm going to say not good, not bad, simply because it wasn't until the big Super League debate that we actually heard from the Kroenke family almost. Like Silent Stan has been called Silent Stan for a reason. And since he's come in, typical, I don't want to sound really bad when I say this, but it's almost been a case of a typical American owner who spends as much as he wants just to make sure that the Champions League money keeps coming in. Because since he came in, obviously Arsenal haven't as close challenged for a league, let alone until now, let alone actually won the league. There was a good theme for a good few years. There was a decline. It's went from challenging for the league to challenging till they lose a big game February, March time, and they're out of it. Then it became challenging for top four, as in there'd be positions where they'd be fifth, and then they'd manage to get that over the line. And when they went 9 years without a trophy at one point. And then as the years went by, a lot the transfer spending, there was no big spending really unless they lost big players. They spent big in 2011 because they lost Fabregas and Nasri and Clichy. Then they spent big again in 2014 when they really needed upgrades at the time. They bought Sanchez, Debuchy, Chambers, and Ospina. But 2 of those are proven players almost in the Prem. Then the next summer, they only signed Petr Cech. They signed Gabriel, the other one, in January of that year, but then they signed Petr Cech. And then they finished second instead of Spurs. You know, Pochettino bottling a 2-horse race and finishing third. It was quite funny at the time.
True.
But then they kick on with the £20 million signing of Lucas Perez, the 20-something million pound signing of Mustafi, and then they finish in 6th with an FA Cup.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the time, the spending was similar to what Wenger tried to do in his early days. You know, cheap signings, that value for money, that would either they could sell on for big profit in the future or just unearthing gems. But when you're spending little money, granted, Koscielny didn't turn out too badly, but then when you've got the other cheap signings like Scalacci and just other like dross that no one knows what happened or when or whatever, until the Super League, it was just more of a decline. And it just got, like, for example, Zaha, everyone said should have gone to Arsenal. But the reason he didn't was because Arsenal did not only wanted to do installment payments, not the big upfront payment. You could put a case that Parish priced him out of a move. But until the Super League protest, a lot of Arsenal spending, unless it was drastically needed, same with the Glazer family as well. Like, we were 6th in January 2020 and we got Bruno Fernandes. We rarely make January signings unless we're desperate. We could have got a good striker this January if Ten Hag wasn't doing as well he was with the dross that he has in his squad. So I think that whilst there's been an improvement and Josh Kroenke's taken over, Edu's up there, they're not taking recommendations from Kia Joorabchian either. So I think that it was bad at one point, but now it's starting to become not good, not bad, because the recruitment the last 2 summers has been pretty good.
Absolutely.
I agree.
They've spent money and they've invested wisely. They've gotten rid of the dross that was there for years. They accepted they were going to lose money because, you know, you spend 20 million on Mustafi and then you just decide, no, we're going to let you go on a free transfer because we can't get any money for you.
Yeah, 100%. And they made bold choice of letting big contract players go and invest and reinvest into the likes of Nketiah or anyone who's like low wages but willing to work hard for it. Playing Martinelli and Saka, Marquinhos, who's out on loan, Saliba, investing time into him. They're willing to do it, and they made a bold choice of bringing in a goalkeeper who got relegated 3 times in a row to be your main number 1. I mean, they definitely have bold choices, but at least they stuck to it. I'm already going to say this already. I already agree with Maisie. Maisie's spot on, and that's exactly where I'm putting Villa anyway.
Yeah, I disagree.
For me,
they go an amazing owner.
I don't think he's not a good owner for me at all.
For me, they go an amazing because I think they've only been in for about 1 or 2 years now. They've got a really good vision going forward. Yes, it hasn't. There are some of their owners they've had before have been absolutely diabolical, but this regime that has come in, they have a clear plan.
They hired Steven Gerrard. There's no planning behind it.
That is very true. On the other hand,
Emery was a coup. Sorry, I just want to say this. Emery was a coup, and he's got Aston Villa to where they should be. It shows what a competent manager can do with this team. Right?
Absolutely.
He's made Tyrone Mings look good. Now, Tyrone Mings, for me, is quite a comical player to watch because sometimes watching him, it's like he looks like
it's like watching a UFC fighter.
Honestly, he looks like he should be cutting wood for me in B&Q with his Timberland boots and his orange apron. And sometimes watching him play, it's quite funny to watch. So
Now for me, Tyrone Mings should be in UFC. Like some of the stuff he does, honestly, reminds me of a UFC fighter. But I think Villa have the potential to have amazing owners, but they're not there yet. I think putting them in the middle is more than adequate. I think it's more than fair because the next one is going right to the bottom.
Oh, absolutely. Let's get him straight in there. Disgrace.
Not even a debate. The Birmingham owner is absolutely awful. I don't think we should even waste our time on them.
Let's sum it up in 2-3 aspects. Stadium that half of it's closed because it's gone to disrepair. Transfer embargoes, points deductions, lack of spending, BHSL out. Sorted.
Yeah, 100%. Blackburn.
For me, same scenario as Birmingham. Sell. Venky's a disgrace.
It's mental. They're still owners of that club.
I mean, things have got better for them. Sort of like recruitment wise, the footballing aspect is actually pretty okay at Blackburn. Everything behind the scenes is a complete shambles. And that's why Blackburn is still getting the attendances that they are. I am tempted just to go for bad, but for me, they go sell.
Mm-hmm. So do I. What about you, Julio?
I'd say sell because I dated back to when they first came in. They first got Blackburn Rovers. They tried to do this whole, we're going to sign big players like Ronaldinho and all that. One of their first few games in the ownership, they were telling all their friends from back where they're from, like, we own a Premier League club now. Come watch us. We'll come invite you. And I believe the game they went to watch was when United put 7 past them at Old Trafford. And then they sacked Sam Allardyce, who's a sure bet to keep you up. And they brought in Steve Keane. And, apart from a sex tape scandal, I believe, I think that's the story anyway. I could have got that wrong. Or no,
I think you're right. It's
either that or it's drunk driving. It's either that or drunk driving. But they brought him in because he looked fashionable. But then all he did was, apart from signing Yakubu and beating United at Old Trafford on Ferguson's birthday, which I put as one of the reasons we lost the title that year. He didn't do much. He didn't do anything. And then they went through a cavalcade of managers the next year. I think they brought in like Henning Berg and then Michael Appleton. And then there was one other whose name I keep forgetting. But he
just remember this is the mad club that thought Rocky Santa Cruz would win them a trophy. Good striker, but that was a delusional comment by the owner. He was amazing though, but still.
But yeah,
Blackpool
just sell. Ever since, I agree with the points. Ever since that, the recruitment looks to be better and stuff. But I mean, they just lost their main striker on a free transfer.
Yep. So, Mays has already confirmed the next one. It's not even a joke. Blackpool are definitely sell.
I'm going to disagree because when they finally got rid of the Oystons, things really started to look up. They shot straight back up to the Championship. The only reason that some of the Blackpool fans, and it's not all of them, because a lot of them still back him, because at the end of the day, let me just get the guy's name back up.
I think there's still so many issues at Blackpool that this owner really cannot fix on his own.
But I don't think it's his fault.
I don't think it's his fault.
I'm not saying it's his fault.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm saying it shouldn't be on him to do it. If he hasn't got the
Simon Sadler.
If Sadler doesn't have that in him or the noose to do it, it's best that he just sell up. That's why I'm not saying he's a horrible owner. It's just wiser to let him go. It's wiser to just let the club be sold to somebody who can actually come in and do something.
You're out of your depth. You need someone who's got more money. So unless you get an investor, you might as well sell because this is going to be a long road for you.
I'm tempted to just put them in bad because I don't think they're as bad as Venky's or Birmingham City. To be honest.
I'd say bad as well.
I think for me it's just like purely the sell for that reason, but I get your point. The next one is easy. Obvious. Brentford are amazing.
Sell. No, joking. It's amazing.
And amazing spot on for the exact reasons. top 10 this year, got immediate improvement from the first season, got promoted last year, and they look like a genuine football club, Premier League football club. Great recruitment, absolutely. They
The
keep
few
ticking
things
all the
I'd like
boxes.
to add as well is how on earth do you go from League 2 to Premier League in 15 seasons, stay there, solidify yourself there, nearly get to Europe, and I want to know the genius, well, obviously Moneyball, but who thought it would be a good idea to get rid of your youth academy and put in a B team?
That's the
That is
difference.
football
I think we need
genius.
more of that.
That's the level of competency that says a lot. Like Spanish clubs do it, the German clubs do it. They still have youth teams, but they have B teams. I think that's what Man United have to do as well. It's about being clever, and you don't do it. And spot on as well. Yep, Brighton are also going to be amazing as well. It's not even a debate.
Absolutely.
It's not even a debate. But these, I think personally, for me, the two best owners in the Premier League are Brighton and Brentford.
Brighton are good because you put any manager into that team. That I was saying this last
Except
week
for Graham
in the
Potter, he's
comments.
pish.
You get a good upstairs, no matter what manager goes in at this point, he's going to succeed. I mean, one thing I want to say on the Brentford B team point is a lot of the youth teams compete in the Papa John's Trophy anyway. So it's almost like they're not called the B teams, but they might as well be the B teams at this point. So you're better off probably putting the B teams right as opposed to youth teams, or still have your younger youth teams and then have the B team and then the A team.
Do it like La Liga, where in La Liga you're allowed a B team, but your B team's not allowed to. It's the same, funnily enough, up here as well. We've got the same concept. Rangers, Hearts, and Celtic, our B teams all play in the, I guess, like the North Highland League or something like that. It's that equivalent. They can go on. Rangers, Celtic, and Hearts could win it every single year, right? But they will never be. They're not allowed to be promoted. So the players will keep getting physically stronger, and they'll keep getting more experience, and they'll be ready to go and play for the senior team or move up to a loan move to like a second, like a League 2 club, League 1 or SPFL Championship. You get that experience because they cannot be promoted. they'll get new opponents every single year because it's the third place club that gets promoted, or second, depending on where Rangers or Celtic finish. So they will automatically be excluded from promotion, but what they get is vital experience. So you could have, say, Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and say Southampton's B team, if they've got one. Say Everton, although their B team's practically their first team because they're shit. But you have them in, say, League 1 and League 2, or even the Vanarama National League. They're not allowed to be promoted, but they're playing games every single season, and they're just getting valuable experience and maturity. I think that could generally work for English football as well. It works everywhere else. It would work here. And that's a fair comment by Maisie. I can't comment on Bristol, don't know much about them, nor do I.
Lansdowne is such a tricky one because at
he's
the end of the day,
Sterling now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's thinking about it, but he's a Bristol man. He's pretty much given them a new stadium without moving away. He's built them a ridiculously good training ground. And just pumped in everything and even invested in the city as well. So for me, he doesn't go anywhere near the bottom tiers. The only problem with him is he doesn't have a clue how to run it on the pitch. I mean, Nigel Pearson, car salesman, loads of different managers in. He's brought some great players and he's got a really good academy in there. For me, he goes in decent, but the only reason that he doesn't get the top two is because of his on-the-pitch performance.
I think based on what your comments are saying there, then I think decent would be fine. The next one's interesting. I want to get your opinion. The next one is Burnley, and Maisie's come in saying not the best. Poor in the Premier League with a minimum budget. Give company backing, but not good enough to be a Premier League squad. Now, Maisie actually has said in the past 3 shows she's been in our live chats, and I think the last 2 or 3 shows she's had herself about clubs in the like Premier League shows. She's done like Premier League reviews, preview matches, sorry. She's openly and honestly said, and I do agree with her, the teams that come up next year, generally all of them could go straight back down.
Absolutely.
Immediately. And I don't actually, even though I think Kompany's a good manager, and he's actually shown it, I think he'd be brain dead to go to Spurs straight away. But
when Kompany leaves that club, they are imploding, quite literally.
I agree. I do think they can all go straight back down though if they don't. I think if you want to survive next year, they have to do Fulham. I think Fulham have done it right this year. They finally learned their lesson. If you can do how Fulham done it, then Burnley have a chance. But I do agree with Maisie. I think not the best as well. I think they're the first to go in.
I completely agree. Right, for the next one, I am not going to speak. I'll let you guys do the talking.
Absolutely pathetic owner.
Amazing owner. Amazing.
Yeah,
No, seriously. Frank Lampard style, laugh for a bit and then talk facts. The guy has been a problem. I said this last week with you, gentlemen.
You did.
The guy's been a problem since he walked in the door. So if we can make a column where it's like, put it this way, if I was Nathan right now, I would find every possible way to walk into that boardroom with a baseball bat, live streaming it. Me and Reece will be on the cameras, live streaming it, Sky Sports, Box Office, Netflix, YouTube, whatever. But Nathan just storming in with a baseball bat. That's probably the only highlight of Vincent Tan's.
Well, I did say this earlier on, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly.
You did.
No, I think that's a bit, just so we do not condone violence on this channel.
I do. I do. I'm just kidding. I don't. But I think some people need to be forcefully removed, even if it's not by violence. Just tell them to hurry up and say.
Protest. I'm all for peaceful protesting.
I think there should be separate. I think sales accountable if they really are genuinely bad owners that have got no clue. I think there should be separate categories for us and Cardiff and maybe one or two others. I think there should be
put them down even further.
I think there should be a category that is definitively the absolute worst owners or something like that. Like, I think there should be something like that, like the absolute worst or something. I don't know, but I don't think we need to go.
Nathan, can I please have your take on a couple of things regarding Cardiff?
Go for it.
When they got the two occasions they've been promoted to the Premier League,
yeah,
you could make a case that it was because of the manager. But what do you make of the recruitment on both occasions? Because the last time they came up, they bought a lot of championship players. And the previous time before that, I know when it was. I was just trying to think. Because the one that sticks out to me is Cornelius for like he broke the record.
He was a decent player, Andreas Cornelius.
And he
just didn't work, unfortunately. But the first time and the second time were completely different because if anyone remembers back in the early 2010s, the amount of times we should have been promoted was ridiculous.
You made a cup final.
I mean, we made a cup final in the championship. That's how good our squad was.
We certainly can do that. We will certainly do that.
Absolutely. I mean, they'll be going in the same as us, to be honest. But
I need to talk about Chelsea.
You know what? Actually, can we add two more columns? Actually,
yeah.
Can you put in a lol column, and can you put in, and you'll see why? Can you put in deluded as well?
No, you should have just put in American owners.
No, because some American owners are actually okay. So we need a lol column.
Yeah.
So and we need deluded. Absolute worst must be the bottom tier though.
So surely Blackburn and Birmingham go in there.
Because I've got to be honest, Birmingham and Blackburn are on par with us.
Yep. You'll see why I want a deluded tier as well in a minute. You'll see why there's a deluded tier.
In fact, should we take out sell then and turn it to deluded?
Yeah. Because there's one club in general that must go inside deluded. And I think everybody will agree when we get there very soon. But we will move on to Chelsea.
Yes.
And Julio, the floor is yours.
I said this in the comments earlier. We are 3 losses away from Frank Lampard walking into that changing room at half-time, 2-0 down, but Todd Bowley comes out second half as the manager. And he's going to come out after full time when they really lose it. He's going to come like, Football Manager makes it look so much easier.
You just know after his first loss, here comes Roman Abramovich.
Oh my God. Here's the problem, right? Todd Bowley's come in with all this money. Fair enough, you can do that. Okay? You sack off the recruitment team essentially and the boardroom.
Mhm.
when I think that you should have kept them at least longer for more of a bedding in period. I think he kept some around, but a lot of it he did himself. And a lot of the recruitment was based on, hang on, they want that guy. Okay, we'll go for him. Cucurella, City won him. Okay, City won the league without a midfielder. All right, let's try that now. Oh, Manchester United want Frankie de Jong. I've heard of Man United. Frankie de Jong must be good. Let's go in for him.
Yep.
Tommy Tickle over there. Thomas Tuchel. Oh, sorry. I think you should play the 4-4-3 formation. All these stories that come out. Oh, don't worry about that. Champions League will play that. We'll pay that. Sorry, what was that? What do you mean we won't be in the Champions League next year?
You're sacked. Okay, bye.
I thought it was automatic qualification.
Yeah, I thought we were
need to
entitled,
scrap
like all the MLS
promotion
clubs and United
relegations. We need
sports
to be like the
teams.
NFL.
I thought we had. I thought we had playoffs in this. I thought we had playoffs.
Don't worry,
in
we'll
this
get them in the
country.
playoffs, lads. We'll get them in the playoffs.
Straight in there.
No, they go in the LOL section. They go in the
Oh
LOL.
Yeah.
my god! I know. And then when you hear the story that apparently James Corden recommended Frank Lampard, okay,
That's what he says. All that says all.
based on the stories we've heard before, you actually might have to consider that was true.
Mhm.
Like, listen, the only good
He-
thing James Corden ever did was that role as Smithy and Gavin Stacey, especially that was it that either sport relief or I can't remember which relief it was. But when he's in
England
that
dressing
room with
talk,
the
yeah.
England team,
But
he
remember,
just
but
starts
remember,
slagging them off.
but what's even funnier? Remember the football team that Smithy actually supports in Gavin and Stacey. What team does he support?
I can't remember.
Next
Is it West
time.
Ham?
He's a West Ham fan. Frank Lampard played for West Ham, played for
Mhm.
Chelsea, managed Chelsea, recommended. But I think he done it just as pure sabotage.
No, I think
Yeah.
Frank's his mate. I honestly think Frank is his mate.
Oh, but I would still sabotage my mate if he'd done a shit job at a previous club before. If I was mates with Michael Beale, I'd recommend him back to QPR.
But you're not mates with Michael Beale. That's a different kind of friendship.
No, that's an immediate kick in the balls and goodbye, mate. Friendship.
Yeah.
Like dump him back at QPR where he belongs.
That's like, it's funny to laugh at you, not with you.
Oh yes, 100%. Coventry City.
They going decent. The reason I'll tell you why is when he took over the club last year and had his first interview on Sky, he was literally like listening to a fan. Scarf around the neck. God, I can't even speak today. Oh my god! But he actually knows football. He was saying, "Right, I want to do this. I want to do that." He's basically signed an extremely good lease on the stadium. He's got the
Mhm.
fans back on side. They actually sold out the stadium for the first time since they've been there,
Oh, that's
which is
good.
incredible. And the togetherness with the fans, which hadn't been seen in 20 years. The quality on the pitch is there as well. The plan moving forward, they've actually got a long-term plan. Mark Robbins is being backed well as well. For me, they're going decent, but he's still
You know
got work to do.
You know what? Just based on that, I agree. I did actually fun enough watch that show that he actually did. So I do agree with you on that one. The next one, on the other hand, this might.
Steve
I think-
Parish.
I am just going to say flat, and I'm just going to be honest. Bad. I think he's a bad owner. I just
I would
don't-
disagree. I would
I'd
disagree.
probably go not good, not bad. He's done some really good things.
He's made some good decisions. I think the key thing was he brought an investor in when Vieira first came in because he didn't. Obviously, it looked like he didn't have the money himself to pay that kind of money for those kind of players.
I think that's fair, mate. I think that's very fair, Maisie. I think that's very fair.
I
I
think
would
just
drop-
on that, maybe we should put it in
Not good, not bad.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
I think that's very fair.
Yeah, I think Palace is not the best.
Yeah, that's
Now,
fair.
this is where it gets funny. Everton.
Oh my god!
So-
Can I take over on this one because
No,
Everton?
this is all mine. This is all mine.
Oh,
Like I've been slagging this club off for the past since the very first podcast episode. Funnily enough, it's actually the very first one. Mays actually says Pallison deluded.
no,
Sat Vieira for Roy and Chase
Mm.
Gallagher like a dog in heat
That was
without
a good
prioritising
decision.
our areas.
Vieira wasn't
You know what?
getting a tune out of those players.
But even
Yeah.
so, sacking him for Roy Keane, I actually think that's fair. And then the fact they went after Gallagher, who runs like a dog anyway. Good shout. Everton is the absolute worst. Everton is the absolute worst. And this is where it gets to entertainment section. Since day one on this podcast, I have said you cannot come into a club, spend £795 million and take a club from 7th, regular competing in a European place, regularly play good football, wildly respected, even though they're in the same city that everyone hates their current their league rival. And also, you go from a good manager in Ronald Koeman, where you spend 75 million on him, and you actually have a decent squad, to then spend 205 million and go to 16th, sack him, and you bring in Sam Allardyce. To then sack Sam Allardyce
After they finish 8th.
And they go all over the place. The managerial recruitment is appalling. They had the best current manager, Carlo Ancelotti. Pretty much is the best current manager when you think about it. Didn't back him properly, and they announced, we're going to build a new stadium instead, whilst he's the manager. The announcement of a new Everton stadium came out when Carlo Ancelotti was manager. They signed Moise Kean, they signed James Rodriguez, they signed Alan, 3 fantastic signings, and James Rodriguez gets wasted. Ancelotti leaves because he realised the club's full of shit. They played Dominic Calvert-Lewin over Moise Kean, which is a disgrace anyway, because Calvert-Lewin can't finish for shit. And Moise Kean's absolutely amazing. He's a baller, and he should be the starting Italy striker. And I've said that for a long time. And Alan fell off a cliff, unfortunately, because they just kept chopping and changing. Everton were 4th at one point. We all remember this. They were 4th at one point, and they fell away because the squad was just not balanced. Past 3 years, they've spent nearly 400 million alone, and it's not going anywhere. It's complete dross. To be going from never relegated in their history to being a favourite to be relegated says a lot about Everton under Usmanov and the other Wankstein that's an owner of their club. So for me, in general, they are one of the absolute worst, and they are on par with the Glazers. They are on par, like equal level of shite owner. And I'm going to say it as well, I like Southampton as a neutral club, but they're also in the absolute worst.
I would probably put them in deluded, to be honest.
No, I'm putting them in absolute worst. And the reason I'm putting them in absolute worst is because you had a good manager in Ralph Hasenhüttl who was forced to work with what he had for 2 seasons straight. Maybe 2.5. They wouldn't invest in him, and he was still getting good finishes. He made Danny Ings a relevant 20-goal striker, and he had to work with what he had. They still wouldn't back him. The minute they get rid of him, they bring in Orsic, who would have suited his style. Aribo and all that, who generally would have suited him all the way through. They get rid of him. And I'm like, what the fuck? See, for that alone, I want Southampton to stay up for the sense of the players, and they've got a good fan base. But for the owner's sake, I want them relegated because they've got their owner's worth what, 6 billion? One of the richest
let
owners.
me tell you now, 1.3 billion
plus whatever they make on the side of that. So they still have a rich owner.
Yeah.
For that alone, they should be doing so much better. Absolute worst. And Fulham, Maisie's spot on. Decent.
I didn't say great. I didn't say great.
Great owner's a fair one as well.
I disagree.
But then again, she says Palhinha, and Palhinha is an absolute baller. Now, wrestling-wise, that's what they're mainly into. That's their big thing, apart from NFL. That's literally what they are.
Then again, you could say the Jacksonville Jaguars are probably one of the worst NFL franchises ever.
They are, but they generally care about Fulham. You can tell they care. You can tell they actually care about Fulham in recency. So it's hard to say, but I think decent's fair.
I actually think not good, not bad.
Go on.
Because this ownership, how long has it been in for now?
Since 2013, I think.
Yeah, exactly. They got relegated that season.
They did.
And the season after, they chopped and changed managers. And there's been a huge amount of instability since. Then they got promoted because they were in 13th in winter of that season. They brought in Mitrovic on loan. they suddenly shot up the table. They beat John Terry and Steve Bruce's Villa in the playoff final, got promoted. They spent £100 million, got relegated the season after.
Yep.
Then have been a bit of a yo-yo club. This summer, the last 2 seasons under Marco Silva, and maybe a bit under Scott Parker, has been the only time. I think only Scott Parker when he was in the Championship. I think when he came up, he even called out the owners for not spending a lot of money because he needed the players. So I think that hiring Marco Silva was a good shout. But I think that since Marco Silva's been in, it's been the only time when they've been really on top of what they've done from the recruitment, from the backing, and even this season as well. So that's why it's not good, not bad, because for the majority of the time, it has been very questionable.
And may I add, they also nearly got relegated to League One as well.
Yeah, they
exactly.
did. But I think you can see that the Cans are now changing that around, and they're generally investing a lot into the ground. They're investing a lot into the squad. They're backing Marco Silva, and they're not backing him with terrible signings either. They're backing him with very good signings. And Maisie's mentioned Palhinha, one of the best midfielders in the league this year by a mile. Incredible. Quality player. Willian was shrewd as well. The only thing they've done wrong is they've not signed a competent backup striker. I think you'll see that in the summer. I think they'll sign someone because Vinicius is not the answer if Mitrovic is suspended or unfortunately injured, which can happen.
Interesting. Next one, Huddersfield. The guy literally owns Card Factory. Bad. Their fans want him out. They've got pretty much, as soon as their good squad imploded, when Thingy left, straight down the league they go. They nearly get relegated. Warnock comes in to save them. And at the end of the day, they're not the absolute worst. He's not that rich, Dean Hoyle. So for me, he goes straight into bad.
Hasn't he just taken over? Just over a month ago or something?
Same.
No, he's been there for quite a while. But when they got relegated from the Premier League, I believe he took over. And he's not that rich of an owner.
Yeah,
why they sunk.
So
that explains why, because they literally almost got relegated the season after. Stayed up, and I think because they brought in what's his name? Was it Danny Cowley? His name, who had that.
They brought the Cowleys in, and then they brought in Corporan as well.
So that's pretty much a similar situation as
Huddersfield. I remember Huddersfield shot up, surprised us all.
Yeah,
and then them being where they are doesn't surprise me the slightest.
I would say similar. I would say similar to concept as Blackpool. Then I'd say same as Blackpool. Then Hull City is deluded.
The thing you got to remember is the Allams are gone.
That is true. They've got new owners.
And they're really good.
Oh, I thought it was the same owners. That's why I would have said.
Oh no, Allams would have gone straight into deluded. But yeah,
they've
got
signed
new
a lot of
owners.
players, and they're not near promotion now, are they? They've already sacked a manager this year.
Yeah, they don't really know what they're doing on the pitch, but off the pitch, they're actually doing really well. They brought all the fans back. They've united them. You can see the foundations are being laid there, but it's too early days at the moment, and they need to not spend much. Let me have a look at how much are they worth? Hull. Okay, they're only worth 100 million. Turkish owners, not that rich either.
That's not going to help them at all. That's not going to help. I'd put them in. I don't want to be too harsh. I don't know them, but I think it's similar to Huddersfield and Blackpool. They can't rely on what they make from the Premier League unless they get really good match attendances to generate income.
They average about 20k at the moment.
That's not going to help.
No,
they're going to have to rely on very good recruitment. They brought John Michael Seri last summer, didn't they, on a free transfer?
And a Stupinan as well, which was a very good signing. It's just defensively they haven't been great.
If they focus a lot on because who's the manager now? Is it Rosinha?
Yeah, Rosinha.
Yeah, I don't know if he's the guy to take them to the playoffs, but you need to get some stability and some really good recruitment in there. At least that's what I think, anyway.
Yeah, I
think the deciding vote
because they've been up and down since they went down. I think they went down again, didn't they?
They went down to League One, and that's what basically finished off the Allams. They had them out in the end, the whole fans.
I think on that general consensus alone, I think we'll be fair. I'll put them in not good, not bad.
I agree.
I think that's only fair. The next one is LOL.
I agree.
Leeds is LOL. Not because I hate them, which I do, but the reason they're LOL is this is a guy who actually owned an Italian club as well, Ramazani. He has actually done that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually see now. This is interesting. I think you guys might agree, but I think maybe I was a bit too.
I was
kind.
actually thinking of going deluded, you know.
Yeah, I think if you look at it as well, Bielsa, even though they had a 50-50 goals against, goals scored, which was absolutely funny, he actually done really well. And he's the manager I think they should get the Southampton job if they get relegated. Not because it's Ruben Shelish's fault.
Mm-hmm.
They just need somebody that understands the league. Looking at Zach Garcia this season, the team is not good enough. They made some good signings, but the fact that they expect to be better than where they are, it's just stupid. And I'll say another thing as well. Selling Rafinha was understandable. That was understandable, right? Because big money draws attention, and they've done well with the likes of Somerville and Gnonto and Harrison.
Mm-hmm.
They were even though Weston McKennie and Tyler Adams have done brilliant in midfield, they should never have sold Calvin Phillips. End of the day, they should never have sold him to Calvin Phillips. I know the money came in from Man City, but
They did not invest it wisely at all.
No, they didn't. And he, frankly, to be fair, I think he should have. I think he made the wrong choice. I think he should have went to Man United personally. Even though we had Casemiro, I still would have taken Calvin Phillips anyway. I think it was smarter for us to go for him. When you look at it, it's evident that they expected so much, but clearly bottled it. They bottled an opportunity, and that for that alone. Great comment here from Maisie. I know. But this one here about Leicester, not the best, and I actually agree. They seem to care for the club but kept hold of Rodgers for too long. Money issues and Wout Faes is too low. Yes,
I disagree because
They're not amazing. They're not great. They were amazing and great 3 years ago. And I'm not using the death of Vikai. I don't think anyone can. I think that's cruel. He was an amazing owner, but since then, when we had the show, was it last week or 2 weeks ago when we spoke about the owner? We said we can't blame this guy because he's inexperienced and he doesn't. It was 3 weeks ago. We can't blame this guy because he just doesn't know. And for that reason alone, you can't completely blame him, but he doesn't really get it. And I find that's the problem. And I think for that reason alone, that's why he's not the best. He doesn't understand it, and he doesn't have people to assimilate with. I think you cannot blame him for that reason. So that's why I've got him not the best.
What I will say, his recruitment has gone downhill since he's taken over.
It has.
Maddison, Gray, Tielemans came in January just as he was taking over, but then that was made permanent. But a lot of the recruitment since hasn't been great. This Rodgers leaving and this happening with Leicester has almost been a long time coming. It's the same with the Leeds situation. What I will say is with Leeds, when they came up, they invested heavily on first-team players, but there wasn't enough quality in the squad. That's why the problem Bielsa's had with all his teams is they drain out towards the end of the season.
Bingo, Maisie. They used to find hidden gems, now they find hidden shite. Brighton and Brentford have completely eclipsed Leicester when it comes to finding hidden gems. They've completely eclipsed them.
Like Leicester lose Kasper Schmeichel last summer, and they don't replace him. They just promote their backup goalkeeper, who is not a Premier League quality goalkeeper, and that was shown in the early games of the season. And I think what's happened to Brendan Rodgers has been a problem since he came out last year after the FA Cup defeat, as the holders, by the way, an absolute dog shit performance. And he turns around and goes, "We need a rebuild. This team doesn't have character, etc., etc., etc." And all the other words he likes to use all the time. They don't have the finances for that rebuild that he's asking for. So you're asking him to rebuild on scrap, and some of the players they brought in have not been good enough.
The only player that generally worked for him, and that was just beforehand, was Patson Daka. I don't think Kelechi and Yacho's worked out for him, even though I think he's a decent player. I don't think he's generally... I generally don't think he cares.
Iheanacho had a purple patch, but Iheanacho's been there for 6 years now.
He has.
So
for me, I disagree with that on Liverpool. For me, Liverpool going not good, not bad.
I was going to put
because
Liverpool...
compared to Gillette, they have done a lot of good.
That's fair, though, but no investment in the club is genuine when you look at the fact is they've waited purposely for so long for certain signings. That's why I've got them in deluded. waiting for so long to sign Jude Bellingham, for example. Now they've lost out because of
Yeah,
finance.
that's true.
Waiting to wait.
That's
I
also
think
a
it's
hint
for
of
that reason.
arrogance, I'd say, as well.
I think
on FSG's part.
I think right in the middle, bad owner is actually fair. But I say this as well, and I find this funny. I find it funny that Liverpool fans are jumping at Man United fans for saying Glazers out when we're winning, but yet yous have got Melwood completely renovated. Like they've actually invested in your your training ground, but you
And the
laugh at us.
stadium as well.
But you laugh at United fans for wanting the Glazers out even when we were winning or we're spending or
key
whatever.
thing,
Like I laugh at Liverpool fans for their stupid hypocrisy.
the
Not
key
all,
thing,
not all Liverpool fans. Just the vast majority on social media for that exact same
Yeah.
reason. I find
I
it funny.
think the key thing with FSG is that the first 4 or 5 years wasn't that great.
Yeah, I agree on that.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I agree on that as
Sunderland are
well.
decent.
They finally look on the up. But with FSG, I think the problem is they've got is the first 4 or 5 years wasn't great. Brendan Rodgers' final summer, they literally turned around and went, right, we're going to have a transfer committee, we're going to do anything. And that was gone within 6 months when they brought Klopp in because they realised
No,
that
it was
bringing
still
Klopp
there.
in.
No, they still had the transfer committee until the end of the season. It was after
Oh,
they
did they?
completed. Yeah, they finished the season and then they got rid of it.
Yeah, because I think Klopp's only signing in that half season was Stephen Corker on loan, just for squad depth.
That's right.
But yeah, practically Klopp's done that rebuild, and there's an argument to be had that the signings of Van Dijk, Alisson, and Fabinho, Van Dijk was needed desperately, and the Coutinho money helped with that, as did the Alisson money. The Fabinho transfer is important because they lost Emre Can on a free transfer. I don't think they get Fabinho if Emre Can sticks around.
I think he would have ended up in Man United. I think if Mourinho had gotten what he wanted, Fabinho would have been at Man United.
Mourinho at Man United, what he could have gotten and what he didn't get is another story that when United comes
it's
around,
scandal. It's a scandal.
We need to discuss properly what the Glazers have done, Reece. So it might take 5 minutes to finish them, honestly, because some of the stories that you and I probably have of reports and stuff. I can't wait. Actually,
I can't wait to get to the. I can't wait. I think we'll put proxy on Liverpool. We'll put Liverpool in bad then. I think only because based on comments and various accounts,
put them
in bad. But I agree. I think the arrogance of waiting for Jude Bellingham, like you shouldn't be arrogant about a team that won the league and won the Champions League and won both domestic cups last year. I mean, that's they won 6 trophies in the last 2 seasons or something.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and the level of position they've done in the league, they should be doing so much more. You shouldn't be waiting. I get you've got like analysts and that's how you're scouting, but if you're scouting like that, you should be able to find strong alternatives in the same circumstance. And Maisie's come in straight away saying Luton not good, not bad. Team a massively achieved but not good stadium training facilities.
To be fair, they are building a new stadium. They are building a new training ground as well. And to be fair, they have actually gone from non-league all the way up to the Championship and even Premier League. And there's one big elephant in the room that puts them in amazing. They are fan-owned.
Are they actually?
Entirely. They are entirely fan-owned.
Nice.
How can I invest?
Absolutely. Up they go.
Move to Luton and get a season ticket and you'll probably become an owner.
I'm not even joking. They are owned by Luton Town Football Club 2020 Limited.
Fair play to them. Fair play to them.
From 2008 onwards, that story, oh my God. I just remembered I watched a video documentary about it a while ago. Crazy the way they went up and where they went down and then they came back up as well.
Get in there, Queen. Get in there and ruin them. The next
Luton Town, fantastic.
The next one's Manchester City.
You'd have to.
They got to go top, unfortunately.
No, only great owners because of what's in the breaches.
True.
The breaches is what takes them away from amazing owners because what they've done since they've come in, at a boardroom level, I've been impressed with. The first 2 years, they built that super team. They almost built like a top team out of like some of the best players in the league that wasn't in top teams, like Gareth Barry, Roque Santa Cruz, although he didn't do well. James Milner, Jolien Lescott. Some of these players were the best players. I mean, fair enough, yes.
What a comment.
That's fair enough. But one thing I will say is they hired their boardroom for Pep Guardiola and built a team for Pep Guardiola before he got there. 2013, they bring in his old directors that he had at Barcelona. Some of the players that they're signing are Pep kind of players, like De Bruyne, Sterling, Fernandinho, even Otamendi. Just these kind of profiles. They literally look.
Whoa. Run back and erase Otamendi from your words quickly. Run back.
Based on the profile on the table, because we were in for him at the same time as well. Based on the profile on the table, I'm not saying he's that. It's the same with Mangala, even Demicheli's at a push. But on the table...
I think Demichelis was actually really good for Man City, to be honest. I think Demichelis was actually really good. His
first 6 months wasn't great. He was making mistakes, but then he solidified a little bit. But the dross in that defense around Company wasn't great. But they literally went, Pellegrini's going to hold the fort with his attacking football for us.
Yeah.
Even like the likes of Negredo and Jovetic, they had an eye on maybe Pep might work with them, but obviously they didn't work out as well.
You know who I felt sorry for as well in the end? Nolito. I felt bad for Nolito and I felt bad for Jesus Navas.
But I think that strengthens Manchester City's board because I think they realised that because Pep's recruitment needed to change a little bit. What his vision was for players, Nolito and Jesus Navas would have worked for him in Spain. But because they saw that maybe there are some players that won't work as well in the league, he needed stronger, more physical players almost.
No, that's fair. I just when you look
at, so they got great owners because of the planning and the vision, and like they've got a really good academy now. Like if we had them, I wouldn't, even with the breaches, I don't think I'd be that fussed with them simply because of the fact that along with our history, the facilities are the best. We've got Ten Hag and I love him, but Pep Guardiola is one of the best in the world. You can't deny that.
A natural progression. It would have been Luis Enrique or Ten Hag.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad we got Ten Hag because I literally said to myself, if we get Pochettino, Ten Hag's going to City in a year's time.
Yeah.
So I think we've got our own almost Pep Klopp in Ten Hag. But yeah, I think you put City in great owners. I think a lot of what they've done has been really good.
That's fair.
Now we get to the big one.
The only thing is though is the absolute. The only thing for them is the breaches and the certain other things and no Champions League. I do find that's fair. Brilliant comment by Maze. And I'm also going to say before we even come to our opinions on Man United, we're going to be starting with Nathan first. By the way, we're staying quiet. Maze is going straight for bad. We can't say they're the worst as look at the ones in the worst. Squad still has investment in it, and Old Trafford is still habitable. Can I just say as well? She's not actually wrong there when you think about it. She's not wrong. Like when in that sense. However, there's still a lot to come to it. Nathan, on you go.
The thing I would like to say is because you guys are going to get into it straight away. The amount of decision making that has been diabolical is there as clear as day. I mean, up until Sir Alex Ferguson retired, there was stupid decisions being made, but because of how good of a manager he was, the cover-up of the bad decisions was there. It wasn't fully in the public eye. But at the end of the day, what they've done behind the scenes is disgraceful and goes in the absolute worst. But the thing that they've got to still be given props is they're still pumping in money. And they've still got a squad that is good enough. Yes, the director of football and everything upstairs at board level is a shambles. But there is foundations being still laid there as well. And they've had very good managerial appointments in areas as well. It hasn't been fully great managerial appointments. I mean, look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as your example. Correct. But they don't match to the absolute worst. But they go below Liverpool. For me, they go into losers.
Reece, do you want to go first or shall I?
That's
speechless.
Actually...
He's speechless. He's lost the words.
It's not about speechless, it's where I'm thinking of where to put them. We know the Glazers are bad, they need to fully sell, but as fans, we actually need to protest on televised big games. Don't try and glaze out when we lose or our transfer window is bad. Exactly. That is bang on. That really pisses me off. You know what's funny is that's actually true as well.
Yeah, that's true.
The Glazers out movement was actually quiet for quite some time. But the
minute on the Super League. Ollie was there for when the Super League happened, when the Liverpool game got...
When the Liverpool game got postponed, yeah.
No, even in 2010, when we were winning things, like David Beckham on the pitch in the Milan shirt. I bet you love that.
Beckham is big.
Reece, with the
Beckham,
green and
yeah,
gold.
I've got an edit of it. But after that, it really did just die out. Like, I think that says a lot. We just couldn't do anything. But
Yeah.
when you look at the ownership, they really are horrific. But then again, though, we still have won things in spite of them. But they have allowed, even though Old Trafford's habitable, they've allowed it to rot. They've not invested in it in any shape or form. Yes, we do spend on the squad, but they allowed certain individuals to run the club as their private bank fest. Well, I would have said wank fest, but it's clinically not correct. When you look at the stuff we won, we could have won the league under Mourinho if they actually gave him what he wanted. Like, we could have actually won the league. We could have actually won the. You know what's even funnier? We could have won the league in 2014 when Pellegrini got the job in Man City if we had got Ancelotti or Mourinho and actually gave him what he wanted that season. It says a lot when we wanted Jurgen Klopp and we wanted Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola blanked Sir Alex Ferguson. He blanked him. And Jurgen Klopp called us Disneyland. That says a lot for us as well. The recruitment was shambolic. You had more misses than hits. When you look at genuine hits, Bruno Fernandes, Daley Blind,
Zlatan,
yeah, Edinson Cavani,
Romero. A lot of those are free transfers. A lot of our hits were free transfers. That says a lot.
Lisandro Martinez, Rafael Varane. I'm actually going to say as well, because he never got a single red card, Marcus Rojo was a hit. And I'd say, who else would I say? Christian Eriksen is a hit. Marcel Sabitzer on a loan has been a hit. But the rest are very questionable. And it's purely because it's still a lot of the same squad is still being played over 5, 6, 7 years, and we struggle to get rid of players as well. That's another major problem. We struggle with getting rid of players as well. And if we don't sign a player, like for example, Macy's put a comment here. As fans, we don't help ourselves about the ownership. What I mentioned above, which is to why other fans we are laughable. Exactly.
True.
Exactly. You see on our every time Man United put up a tweet like, "Oh, Marcus Rashford scored a goal," the comments are, "Sign Kylian Mbappe," #Glazers out. That's not what Glazers out's about. That's just, we don't sign a player you want, so we have to get rid of the owner. We should be getting rid of the owner because they generally don't have a care about the club. They don't want to take us to the next level. They don't want to take us to the next level. So you can't say that reason. Mace, just come on and join us, because this is another spot on comment. What's he ever done in his life to deserve 350,000? He's a good player, but he hasn't delivered enough at United. There's actually talks about him going back to
Dortmund.
There's talks about him going back to Dortmund, yeah. The one problem with Man United as well, whoever is the new owner, the one thing I beg for, besides stadium being renovated, or improved on, the one thing I beg upon is having a director of football.
Yeah.
And have some people in charge at board level and with the manager, director level, sports technical director and all that just generally know how to run a football club. They know how to run it from a sporting sense that will actually take us to the next level. Even if we have to sign 30, 40 million players like Alexis McAllister or an Ivan Toney, that could certainly happen, right? Those signings generally work if you have competent football direction. If you don't have competency, Ten Hag is fucked, and he will be forced to rely on it a lot. He will be forced to rely on what he can do, and that's not fair. That's why our outgoings are poor. When then we will do a loan deal, try and up their value, and they let them go in a free. Yeah, we tried to sell Jesse Lingard for 40 million after a loan deal.
With a year left on his contract.
He's not worth it. People blame Dolly for the Phil Jones extension.
It's the epitome. I can't tell you the amount of times I've said this to people on Twitter because they keep going, and Ollie did this. And I'm like, no, he didn't.
An interim manager has no power.
Chris Smalling was the same as well.
We should never let go of him. But it was never his fault. The only thing Ollie got wrong were two things. One, getting the job too quickly, Ed Woodward. Mm-hmm. But also playing the same system, choosing Harry Maguire as his club captain when he was in the job, bad mistake, and the system just constantly the same thing, not changing. It is so bad. It is so bad. But there was no direction. And not getting every manager, if you don't get what you want first time, should be getting the second choice. It shouldn't be third choice. If you can't get your first choice, you are completely screwed. And there you go again. I swear to God, Maisie's been completely spot on.
The problems have been at boardroom level. Sir Alex was almost, along with David Gill as the chief executive, Sir Alex was like a director of football and football manager all in one.
Covering everything.
When he leaves, arguably the two best managers we could have got were Mourinho or Ancelotti. He spoke to Mourinho, and I think there was that.
And to be fair, Klopp as well. I think Klopp as well was still there. If we'd actually been serious,
we went in for Klopp. I think after Moyes was sacked, and that's when he said the Disneyland comments. I think Mourinho and Ancelotti would have been the best picks. I think when he went to Mourinho, Mourinho made a hint that he was coming to Chelsea. And then apparently there's that story where Mourinho heard that Moyes got the job and he was upset because he wanted that job.
Oh, he was broken. Yeah, Mourinho was broken. I genuinely think he wanted it.
When Sir Alex asked for Ancelotti, Ancelotti said, "I've already said yes to Real Madrid, unfortunately." You bring in Louis van Gaal, you lose 3 of your main back 4, and choosing to invest instead of going for you invest the money in the wrong way. We did not need Angel Di Maria. We needed either a Mats Hummels or even an Arturo Vidal. We needed someone in midfield, which David Moyes didn't get, apart from Marouane Fellaini.
Correct.
And Juan Mata, both of which were... Ed Woodward was just so incompetent. The amount of stories, like David Moyes' recruitment, Louis van Gaal got 1 centre-back. 2, if you count Daley Blind rotating in there, okay? He got Marcos Rojo. Now, Marcos Rojo, as a left-sided centre-back, or even a left-back for Argentina, was good. Centre-back, sometimes in a back 4, he was a bit inconsistent. But come on, Reece, we love a nutter, don't we?
We also made the mistake of letting... I think it was wrong to let Van Persie go straight away as well. I think we should have kept Van Persie another year. Even though it wasn't the best season, he was still delivering goals for us. I think it was also a mistake to let go of Javier Hernandez.
There was a lot of mistakes made. There was a clear out, an unnecessary clear out, and the dross that we got in instead just made it even worse.
The one big thing though is the team that Van Gaal was actually building the second season was actually going to go and do something, in my opinion. Maybe not have won the league.
I wanted him to get a 3rd year personally.
So did I. I mean, I like the fact that his front 3 would have been potentially his front 3 when you look at it would have been Memphis, Martial, Rashford, and whoever else. Maybe Januzaj, I don't know. But when you look at it as well, it was something there to begin with. We got rid of Schweinsteiger too quickly under Jose Mourinho. But
Schweinsteiger excluded him. Mourinho
Schweinsteiger worked. And he apologised at least.
Yeah, fair enough.
But Daley Blind should have been our defence midfielder as well. 100%.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
But I love Daley Blind. We should never have sold him. But we made so many horrible decisions. He also, when you look at it as well, he wanted Sadio Mane. He wanted Gabriel Jesus as well, funnily enough. He wanted Thomas Muller. He wanted all of these guys actually for his team.
Hummels. Some of them, before they even noticed, Ryan Giggs recommended them, but by the time that the summer came around, Van Gaal was gone. Like, Van Gaal wanted Hummels and Ramos because you'd lost Ferdinand and Vidic, and you can't tell me that Chris Smalling, Johnny Evans, Phil Jones, as painful they were to watch back then as well, if you remember, they were painful to watch back then. They were not the answer, right? Our best season under Van Gaal was the second season. Injuries let him down.
Smalling and Daley Blind at centre half.
That was a quality partnership that no one expected to work. And the thing is, Van Gaal, we've got his word to take on this, but Van Gaal's words were, the first 2 seasons, I wanted us to be able to pass the ball, but be solid. This 3rd season, if he got it, was when we were going to start playing fluid football. And I think that's reminiscent of what Arteta's done at Arsenal as well.
The slander on Donnarumma. the slander, even though I'm a Milan fan. But still,
Yeah.
he want. But no, to be fair, it is very true. It's still very
I
true.
think
To
the
be
real
fair.
problem showed under Jose, though. Jose wanted a centre back. This story, right, that I've read somewhere.
He wanted Godin, he wanted Alderweireld, he wanted Vertonghen, he wanted Ramos.
Even Maguire.
Um,
And do you know what Woodward said to him? We won't pay 50, 60 million for them, but if Rafa Varane becomes available post 3P, post World Cup, we've got 100 million in the bank for him. You don't finish second. You know when the City breaches came up and we all joked about winning the title? Jose Mourinho could have won the title, and these are the players eligible for winners' medals. Fellaini, Darmian, Phil Jones, Chris Smalling was the last of his good time at United. But like Scott McTominay, Zlatan Ibrahimovic on one leg, by the way, not when he had a good season. And out of sorts, Alexis Sanchez, and out of sorts, Henrik Mkhitaryan. Some of the dross that Mourinho worked with and finished second with would have been eligible for winners' medals if City's breaches.
Mkhitaryan was actually one of his good signs as well. It's just a shame it took too long to put him in the position.
For a short period, but then it just didn't work. But
yeah,
and then even after Jose, I think Jose leaving was the right thing.
I agree with that completely. I do agree. I thought Smalling was fantastic under Mourinho, and it shows, funnily enough, right now he's best defender.
I think he let him go at the right time, personally, because whilst he was solid under Mourinho and solid under Van Gaal, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanted someone. I mean, yes, this is true. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanted a centre back who was competent on the ball. I'm not saying Maguire is that, but Smalling on the ball, it was like watching a guy dislocate his hip to make sure he didn't get his Timberland boots dirty. Honestly, it was so painful to watch him try and pass the ball.
But now you think about it, we made a horrible mistake because he's actually very good on the ball. He is very good on the ball.
But he was very. It was also the problem is I think since he's been to Italy, his defensive discipline has matured a lot. So I will give him that. But I think in hindsight, that it's very easy to say that because
that's fair.
When he was playing, VAR would have hated him, or he would have hated VAR. VAR would have loved him because the amount of corners I watched him wrestle someone, and he got away with so many penalties that he didn't give away. It was actually ridiculous. Johnny Evans at United, he actually wasn't as good as we like to believe under Van Gaal. I don't know what was wrong there, but it wasn't reminiscent of Johnny Evans we knew. Phil Jones, always injured. He had a solid year with Mourinho. I think Mourinho's first year really solidified the arrogance he has, and he brought that back. But the problem is there was just a lot of stories where the board would just let go of, wouldn't recruit. For good signings, I wouldn't count last summer. Before last summer, because last summer there was a change in the recruitment. They went for players that the manager needed and wanted for his style, not Hollywood names like Falcao, Schweinsteiger. I love Schweinsteiger. Don't get me wrong.
He would have worked like Falcao and Schweinsteiger if we got him in 2013-14 would have worked under Mourinho. Under
a good manager, yeah. And the problem is that there's just so much. You don't have the words for it because there's so many of them. Do you know what I mean? They went for
It was a flop. He was a flop, but then he went back to Man City. So he went back to Monaco, and he ripped Man City apart in one of the best Monaco teams I've ever seen. I prefer Lyon, but I do have a soft spot for Monaco as well.
Summer 2020, by the way. Summer 2020, Oli wanted Upamecano or Ake, Grealish and Sancho. He didn't get any of them. He got Van der Beek, Tejas, and Cavani. Now, I love Cavani, and I wanted the other two to work out regardless. But the problem is there's a lot of...
that's fair. That's relatively fair.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of, big names.
And again, that comes down to not giving what they want. But you know what's painful? If we stick with Pioli, I agree with this comment. If Spalletti leaves Napoli, sack Pioli, like I said, I would take Spalletti any day or Enrique. But I do agree, right now Roma are far better. And Roma, thankfully, Salamaker paid attention to Rafael Leao's over-the-top cross and we equalised. Yeah. But Roma looked fantastic under him, and Dybala looks phenomenal with Abraham in front. I think Eddie would have stayed if Ronaldo never would have come.
I think he just sacked it off. Ronaldo comes in, he just sacks it off completely.
I felt sorry
Ronaldo,
for him.
We didn't need Ronaldo.
He was excellent.
As much as I love Cristiano Ronaldo, and I loved his homecoming and everything about it. Cavani was great the season before, and we needed a holding midfielder more than.
Stop it, you. Stop it. She knows full well what that is. Stop it, you. We're not having this.
But we needed a holding midfielder more. Do you know what I mean? So it's just there's just so many fuck ups. The Glazer family, like, have you guys heard the Hakimi story where we were in for Hakimi before one of his Dortmund loans? Where
I think I might have, but it's been
Spurs
a
were
long
in for
while
him.
since it's come up.
Spurs were in for him. Pochettino took him to dinner at the stadium and stuff. It was the new stadium. Matt Judge in the London office heard about this and brought him in. Bear in mind, Hakimi's a childhood United fan.
Yeah.
Brings him into his office and screws up the deal by asking him who he is and how many caps he's got and all that kind of thing. Achraf Hakimi, by the way, we could have had him for peanuts almost. For half
the best wing back, not the best full back,
but the best wing back in world football, arguably. So I just think that stuff like that, when you've got idiots running the show, it's no wonder that it's a circus on the pitch.
You know what's worse? She had to comment this. How dare you comment that?
Reece, would you take Mourinho at Milan?
Yeah. This current version of Mourinho, yeah, I would.
No, I think Jose's always been like this. I think
him with Rafael Leao, you're cooking. You're cooking drug money.
Mourinho's final summer. You finished second in the league, and exactly, Ed Woodward messed this up, I think.
5 million.
You know, Antonio Valencia was just in the ears of like the board to go and sign him. Ecuadorian, sign him. He's good. I play with him. He's good.
And he's literally one of the best South American players to ever play for Man United.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favourite players to play for Man United as well. Even though we should never sign them in the first place. No disrespect to him, we should never have signed them.
That's another Glazer point. You get £80 million for the best player in the world, and instead of signing Kaká or Robben, Ribéry, all that.
No, that's a different story. The reason I'm saying drug money is it's like Breaking Bad. Like, you're cooking good. That's why I'm saying like Mourinho. It would be like Breaking Bad. You're cooking good stuff there. Mourinho, like what he done at Inter Milan, even though it was Inter Milan, like is special. What he's doing at Roma at Roma is beautiful.
Yeah.
I love Mourinho, but Maisie, you're still right about it was the right decision to sack him because it was going horribly wrong.
Oh, it was. It was coming since pre-season. It was really bad. But do you know what I mean? Like, they lost leaders throughout the years. Mourinho, when he got sacked, his team was criticised for not having leaders. The leaders he had in his first season were Zlatan, Rooney, Carrick. They were all gone when they won the Europa League and League Cup. They were gone after that first year. They were gone within the year. Mm-hmm. Rooney left, Carrick retired, Zlatan left, tore it up in the MLS, as me and Reece probably watched and adored.
I did, yeah. I watched his time in LA Galaxy, and obviously I watched him AC Milan as well. So.
Yeah. So you put it, to top it all off, you put it in deluded.
Absolutely.
Really deluded.
Stop it.
It's nice to hear Nathan after so long.
That's the hell of it. But yeah,
absolutely.
Our ownership is deluded because it also contributes to the online fan base who don't help. There's a lot, and that's not all the online fan base. It's not all of them, but there's a vast majority who make it so because if you don't get the player we want to sign, then
it's just straight to the owners, isn't it? At the end of the day, like, that's just the plastics for you. That's the problem, though. You'll get it at every club.
Yeah, another thing that doesn't help as well, and this really is annoying, is if we like Maisie mentioned earlier on about if we lose a match, is Glazers out? No, we lose a match because we lost the match because we were shit in that game.
And that's not saying we don't want the Glazers out. We've always wanted them out, but that's not how you go about it. The way Twitter fans go about it, it gives us a bad rep. So when us actual fans address it normally, it makes us look bad because it puts a false rep on us.
Thank you. That fucking annoys me. Like I can say comfortably, I've yet to be Old Trafford.
Exactly.
I've yet 26 years as a human being, Man United fan for well over 20 years. I've yet to go to Old Trafford.
I've never had the opportunity.
And the reason it was unlikely for me as well is because the club that we put as a great owner, my dad supports that team. So, do you really think my City, my City parent, because my dad's a City fan, do you really think he's going to take me to Old Trafford, even if I asked him?
Exactly. No chance.
Hell no. So I'd have to wait to go myself, or go with friends, or something like that, or definitely go with Maisie.
Nah,
You know, it's people you gotta go with. But like,
I've never had that opportunity. No time, no money, etc., etc.
I suppose that you could take just take some really good shampoo and get.
I was
get
gonna say,
but like, no, like I hate the comment about what a real fan, like what is a real fan. A real fan is
fans
somebody.
still go and watch the games.
I watched the game. The only time I missed a match, like the only match I've missed this year was actually one of the weekends. I was doing my wrestling podcast. I missed the Villa game.
What a
But
name for that podcast, by the way. The Weekly
I know.
Steel Chair. Genius.
Thank you. But I saw the last 5-10 minutes of the game, but I went and rewatched it. I went and rewatched the game, but I missed that. That's the only game this season I've missed watching. But in terms of like not seeing my life, yeah, fair enough. But I'm always passionate about the club. I'm always going to be there. A real fan should be someone who genuinely gives a shit and actually knows about the club. A fake fan is somebody who just, you can tell by how they act on social media. Like that for me is definition of fake.
You mean like some of the bigger channels out there?
Yeah.
With their over the top fake reactions.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in my teens, someone said to me, because he was on the football team and that, and him and his friends once tried to say to me that, oh, you don't know anything about United. I was like, what are you talking about? You don't even know me. But that's the problem, that you get some people who claim that, I mean, this comment has just come through, that this perfect. This is actually so true.
Yeah. And I can't hide from this by saying like I'm not a, like I criticised Rashford a lot for the past couple of years because his performances were good, but then they severely dipped and they looked like they were never coming back. But I've at least this season said he's done absolutely amazing, and I want this to continue. I want this to continue going and keep getting higher and higher and higher, and I want that to maintain, and I hope it stays that way. But I hate some of the shit that people see.
I've seen this. Oh my God, I've seen this. It's actually ridiculous. On the gentleman in question, actually, the one who goes to Old Trafford. Unfortunately, he's the only person. Unfortunately, he's the only person that's blocked me on Twitter. Because
I don't even know who this is. Like that you're talking about. I don't know. You don't need to name names, but if it's.
But he's a proper true United fan, so I always respect him for that. But he blocked me on Twitter without even talking to me, because it was in a conversation with someone on our channel that I was having on Twitter, and he commented underneath me, "You're getting blocked because you follow all the wrong uns." Now, as you can imagine, Reece.
Terrible.
As you can imagine, Reece.
Right. Yeah.
When someone says that to me or to you, we both know who we're thinking of. So I was there like, I don't follow him, or them or whatever. If I follow them, it could be I might have followed someone on that one of those channels years ago when I first got my Twitter, because I just saw they were a United fan. But I thought that was an unfair description. It's almost like you put me into the same category as them. Yeah. Because Reece, you and I have worked together, and other people on our channel work with me, and they know where I stand with certain characters in the media. So as you can imagine, I was a little bit disappointed by that, because I know that this guy is a real United fan, and I respect him for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's generally where the problem is, and that's the hard bit as well, as who is and who isn't a real United fan. Who, and I think the question is, there's more to it as well. Like Mace mentioned about a fake fan of some of a Pogba picture. Like it could be any picture exposing a player, but that is that is an example. That is a very good example.
At least my picture is just me in AI.
I think what determines a real and fake fan shouldn't be about where you come from. It doesn't matter where you come from. Not everyone's going to get to go to a game. That's the harshest part. Saying, "Oh, our true red is someone that comes from Manchester." Yeah, but then someone from Manchester can argue saying that a real fan from Manchester is a City fan as well. I've seen a lot of shit on social media because of this, by the way. This is not a joke. I've seen, well,
City of
but then-
Salford. That's where Manchester are based. Manchester United are based apparently in
Yeah, it's-
Salford, not in
I
Manchester
hate
City
the-
Centre.
I hate the bollocks of that whole thing. It's about, doesn't matter where you come from. Like, Man United fans that live in London, Man United fans that live in Wales, Man United fans that live in Africa, Man United fans that live in South America, all of that. Man United fans that live in Scotland. Like, who gives a fuck?
It's like I can even add to it. I'm not even from Cardiff, so
Exactly. And
there's your good example.
he probably is, to be fair, but Nathan loves.
No,
Nathan
but on the
loves
real,
his
I think
for change.
I think you can tell who are maybe the real. If you were to put them into categories like that, I think you can tell who the real fans are and who aren't based on what they put out on Twitter and stuff.
Bingo.
But end of the day,
Global.
United fans are global. So
Exactly. Spot on, Maze.
one thing I find hilarious is Albanians
Comment,
like me, born in the UK. When we're born, we pick a team based on the red and white or the red and black, similar to our home country's colours. So usually you find Liverpool, Arsenal, United fans in my community.
Gravitas. I love that. Although, to be fair, you do rate Broja. I'm just kidding. I actually do like Broja as well. I'm kidding.
I think he could become something, but the injury worries me. But
yeah,
shall we move on from United? Because I feel bad for Nathan.
let's move on. Let's move on to Middlesbrough.
Steve Gibson. He's been in charge since the 90s, so
he got 25 million for his son.
True.
He convinced Burnley to. He convinced Reece's team Burnley to pay 25 million for his son.
They're not my team. What the fuck? I swear to God, Maisie, that's your fault.
It's a difficult one, this one, because he's built him a new stadium, got him to the Premier League a few times, won him a trophy, but the last few years
got him to a European final.
He did as well, yeah.
But then he had Steve McLaren as a manager as well, which is madness. Well, that's the
Still
madness
up and
of it.
down.
But then again, though, he brings in Gareth Southgate, and Gareth Southgate gets him relegated.
He does indeed, and not only that as well. Well,
I think it's hard to say.
It is because he hasn't really been backed financially either. He's run it sustainably, which is another factor you've got to look at. But
no,
Gibson's
I'm not.
middle.
I am not. Stop this.
Now
I hate this.
here's where it gets interesting.
Do you know what really annoys me? I've been begging for her to come on the show all night because Maisie absolutely hates Newcastle.
Here we go.
No, I swear to Christ, Maisie hates Newcastle.
Can I just make a point about the whole new Newcastle Manchester United rivalry? Because
No, I didn't. Done FaceTimes, yeah, but I haven't done that. Just to stop that rubbish. There is a rivalry there, but it got reinvigorated once the owners came in. But we had a rivalry with them in the 90s. Yeah. Don't worry, Doug. They're going in.
We will come to them. Yeah,
I will come to them. That will be an interesting one.
You know what? I'm going to put it in. I really want to hear Newcastle are actually in great owners. Oh, for goodness
They are.
sake.
What they've done so far, I think, is incredible.
True,
I think Eddie Howe being appointed is really refreshing to see a manager work with what he's got.
Yeah, absolutely. They can't go into the top.
Doug, if you want to come on and go straight after Watford, you're more than welcome. I know Maisie said no earlier on, but if she changed her mind, she's more than welcome. They are great owners, but they're fans. Fuck's sake. That is exactly why she'd come on. My rivalries like Arsenal, shitting outdated, but the twerps want to make it. I immediately think Pokemon, Team Rocket calling Ash a twerp. But want to make the rivalry again. Can't believe his character's gone now, but that's a childhood
They've
fan.
made it seem like, let me say this on that whole United thing, because they got mad at Sky Sports for not putting United on the thing. When people listen, when Manchester United fans refer to Man United as United and saying that we're the only United, because everyone refers to it. That's not a disrespect to Newcastle. You have other teams called United, like Leeds United, West Ham United. It's not a disrespect to Newcastle fans. It's just how it's always been.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always been referred to as that.
Exactly.
Newcastle United is still a huge club, and I have huge respect for them as a football club because of the size of it.
Bingo. It is a
Yeah.
serious grudge. It's like sorry for calling back 12 points and stealing the title off you, even though you beat us in the league twice.
I love it.
I've like it's severe. Like that's a severe point. Like I know some Newcastle fans are decent. Mason knows Newcastle fans are decent. In fact, we all do. But I don't want to say this in a nice way, but I don't give a shit about them as a rival. I think they're a good football team.
They're good.
But-
It's exciting to see another team come up and now challenge because they've got the money to do it as well.
But they aren't a rival for me. They aren't a rival. They're just another Premier League team. The only rivals for me in the Premier League are Liverpool, Leeds, Chelsea, Arsenal.
I don't even think Chelsea is much anymore, to be honest. Not because of
I
Todd
think
Bowley's
this-
gone in. And
I think they still are. They're always a competitive rival for us.
no,
I think they still. Oh,
in
and the
years
West Ham thing as well. To be fair, West Ham.
I think in years to come, we'll probably see more exciting games. We'll probably see the Newcastle games as big, exciting games to go to.
They will. Not gonna lie, it's not the fact I hate the club. I hate the fan base, and they've proved my point. What I said 2 years ago about them. You know what? Was it last week's show, Neil, Nathan, when I called them complete elitists for
You
how
did,
they
yeah.
behaved?
We
I
proper
think-
went into Newcastle last week, didn't we?
There's like 2 or 3 fans. Like when you look at like fans that I know are interactive. Like Maze does a show Maze was on a show with 2 Newcastle fans in general that she does speak to. Like I think they're sound. I think I know because I watch her on the overlap. I think Kendall's a decent Newcastle fan. When I see her on the overlap, she speaks a lot of sense. But then you see the rest of the fan base on Twitter and how they're acting, and I'm like, you were surviving under you survived under your previous owner Mike Ashley, who was an absolute bastard, and he tried to ruin Rangers again. But you really do show yourselves up for being very horrible. I hate how they've acted. I used to think they were a great fan base. Now I'm like, I would hate to see how they react if they won the league. I really don't. And I think this is a good comment as well. Like if one person says something bad about Newcastle, like 50 of them bully that one person.
Oh,
It's the
exactly.
same with Liverpool.
It's massive. I like 2 Newcastle fans. That's it. It says a lot. I find I like 2 that I've had shows with, but I like listening to Kendall on the overlap.
Yeah.
But I
I
like
get that
listening.
with Kendall quite a bit on Twitter. actually.
John, like I know, like the 2 Mays he's talking about is Tony and John Sinclair. I think they're 2 great guys. I've done shows with them as well, but I know Maisie's done more with them, and I think they're genuinely sound. But I like listening to like-minded fans for that reason. That's why I do shows with Nathan. That's why I do shows with Josh. That's why I've done shows with Maisie. That's why I do shows with you now, dude. Like the guys in the Weekly Armchair have got the vast majority of them. I like coffee. Good laugh. Good laugh. Good laugh. Mad comments though, but always a positive in your live chats. I think when you look at it, I think just Tony, because he's always been good to me, but it's just how I am with. I think it's just like who you are with people. But I don't like how some people once their situation changes at their club, their personality changes, and I'm like,
Oh, exactly.
I don't like that. I think that really is. I think it's a massive problem that has to change. But I don't know. But
Gents, breaking news from The Athletic.
Oh,
Apparently,
God.
Leeds United strongly considering Sam Allardyce appointment.
Oh my god.
Bring back Big
All right,
Sam. You don't know
all
how
right.
happy this makes me.
oh lol.
Oh my.
United District have now retweeted saying there's an interview and Marcus Rashford was interviewed in a nightclub. Like nobody wants to know that. We want to
Have
know
you
other
seen the
stuff.
story that with the Aston Villa forward, the women's player Alicia Lehman, where she was
yeah.
being mobbed by guys, so he stepped in as basically
yeah.
Batman.
Oh yeah, madness. Let's see. Yeah, to be fair, like I think it's more or less just like what I would get on with, but there's some things I generally don't see. That's my problem. Is some things I do see, some things I don't. But I hate seeing people get bullied on social media. I really do. Or even just the way, people act. Like I know I can be a bit of a prick sometimes, and I try not to be. But This is a comment here. I follow a lot of Newcastle fans back, but they bullied me on social media once when I made a comment about Stuart Armstrong. They posted a video and it went viral, bullying me on my opinion.
Disgusting.
Like that's not how you should act in any way, shape, or form. You shouldn't be acting like that. What's wrong with having a fair opinion? Like, if you have a fair opinion, that's your opinion. You're not doing anything spiteful.
Listen, you
You're
can
not-
criticize if someone's opinion is really bad, you can criticize it in a certain way, but bullying them is not the way to go. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if he said something that I
exactly.
disagreed, I
If
wouldn't
it
call him a
is-
Scottish prick or anything.
I mean, you could if you want.
But
But
that's because we
I
have
think,
like a prior like relationship. Do you know what I mean? We could see it as
Yeah.
a joke, but
but I think
if
if you
it
take
was-
it too,
if it was
If you are-
unknown, if I didn't know you, and I'd say, "Oh, you're not a real United fan. You're based
I'd come
here."
after you. I come after you. But no, I think based on that as well, I think if you cannot have your own opinion, then what's the point in being on social media in the first place? Social media is supposed to be a place where you can just have your own opinions and just have a safe haven. But
That's the people who watch
it's
the
such a
United
toxic
fans.
environment. I don't watch that in general. I don't
No,
watch.
but ask their fans. They'll tell you what it's like to not have your own opinion and just listen to delusion every week.
I'd rather not, thank you. Just not my cup of tea, and it never will be. But I know from sense, like, obviously those sort of things, like, I'm sorry that happened to you as well. I know you've told me about it before, but I hate when people do that stuff. It's
Disgusting.
that's
No one
There's
deserves it. No one
there's
deserves it.
there's point scoring, then there's complete diminishing someone's opinion. That's not how it should be. That's not how it should be. Right, let's fire into Norwich.
Go for it, Reece. I know you've been waiting for this one.
Delia Smith, where are you?
Let's be having you. Come on.
I don't even know what I can say about them that I've not already said. Like, this is the definition of the ultimate yo-yo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's where it says all for me. I just think she's a bad owner because she just goes up for the parachute payments and they don't know how to reinvest it in the squad, and then they get relegated and then do the same thing all over again.
And now they're
I
just
can't-
mid-table.
Yeah, I'm just going to put them in bad.
I'd probably go not the best because I don't think they're as bad as FSG or the Huddersfield owners
That's-
and stuff like that.
That's insane, Maisie. I'm so sorry.
Mad.
Yeah,
What
I'm
would you
sorry
do?
that happened to you, honestly.
Disgusting.
That's horrible. Yeah, for Norwich, I'm putting them in bad. I can't stand Delia Smith as an owner, but even Delia Smith knows herself she doesn't have the finances, and the parachute payments literally they don't even do them anything. So I don't know. Preston North End now. Preston, I said earlier on they could potentially break a financial breach for
With Woodman.
with Woodman because Rangers genuinely wanted him in January as a goalkeeper. They didn't tell him. That is a legitimate breach, by the way. But apart from that, that's one breach. We don't know anything else. I don't know about their situation, but they should have told him. They had a duty. They had a right to tell him.
Exactly.
So I think for that reason, that's not the best to bad. But I don't know about the rest of them in terms of league, mate. So Nathan, over at you.
It's a 50-50 one because I don't know why Preston have always seemed like the most pointless club in the 92. Like, they're just kind of there, aren't they?
They haven't done anything
fight
since
for fortunes.
They haven't done anything since the original Invincible season.
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day as well, like early 2010s, got relegated to League One, came back after a few years back, mid-table they go.
Yeah.
It's just a bit meh. They have a bit of investment now, but it is not the best. Now, then the next one is funny.
Queen's Park Rangers is a lull.
They
Queen's
are
Park
the lull.
Rangers, they are the second lull
Their
because
fall off this season alone has been insane. Oh my god! Even when,
I think
jeez, did they still have Tony Fernandez as owner
They still have Tony Fernandez.
when
as
he
owner.
first came in? And the signings and the recruitment, oh my, just up and down, and then eventually they just never came back up.
And they just been floating
couldn't
as
do it
well.
anymore.
Hmm.
They just didn't know what they were doing after that. I'm going to say this now. I'm going to throw this to two people. Maisie in the live chat, Nathan, Reading.
What about me? I'm based in Reading.
Me and you are going to stay quiet for a
Comical.
little while. Well,
Okay,
actually,
fair
you know
enough.
what? You know what? Actually, just you, Nathan, and Mace, because when it comes to Reading have been irrelevant to me since Steve Coppell when they were a good side. After that, I just don't care.
I'll leave it to
Absolutely.
the other two first, and if I've got anything to add, I'll add it in.
Right, overspending, financial breaches, constant points deductions, transfer embargoes. their owners just don't have a clue, straight up. For me, if they're not the absolute worst. No, they go in absolute worst. I was tempted to put them in deluded, but
Ooh. Maisie, if you are still watching Lovely, where would you put Reading? Would you put them in the absolute worst with Nathan? Would you put them in lol, deluded, or bad? Because I don't think they're going to not the best. I don't think anyone's putting them in not the best that I
No
can
way.
think of.
they are terrible, their owners.
Julio.
They're
Sided
down there. They're certainly down there. You bring in a millionaire, billionaire, whatever you want to call it, owner, and you overspend almost beyond your means, and suddenly just it's all gone tits up. Like I literally said to Nathan and you last week that the side they built last summer, great championship winning side 10 years ago.
Exactly.
Not now. Aging players. Dead set to go down, I would say.
All of these
Rotherham
are
pulled a
agreeable.
result today against Borough. If Northampton get promoted from League Two, then I'm going to go watch their games at Reading their game at Reading next season. It's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
That is 100%. That is 100% accurate.
Yeah, so I think that
West Brom are bad, yeah. Watford are an absolute worst.
I'd say actually, well, we get to a bit. West Brom going absolute worst as well.
Agreed. West Brom going absolute worst. Nathan, I just want to ask, remind me, how long has the Reading owner been in position?
Let me have a look. Where are they?
I'll check just now for you.
Reading. 2017.
Oh, so it was about 6 years. Yeah. I believe the first season he was there, Jaap Stam got sacked as they were down towards the bottom of the league.
I agree on that. And
After
I
not getting
definitely...
promoted, I will put Reading in... I'll put them in LOL.
Yeah, they go
because I think it's ridiculous that an owner comes in, spends money, and then he's told, yeah, you can't do that. Good luck with the embargoes, and it's just gotten from bad to worse. I'm surprised that Paul Lynch lasted 2 Christmases. Well,
exactly. Now they've been relegated.
One Christmas and a summer, and
your comments have been absolutely amazing tonight. Your comments have been absolutely amazing tonight, Maisie. Thank you ever so much. Honestly, they've been absolutely fantastic. Really do appreciate your comments and respect all of them. Respect them all because they're absolutely brilliant. I've said it since day one. You're absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for that.
Where do Rotherham go now?
I'm not sure.
I'd say not the best because they're just yo-yoing.
I was going to say they're a yo-yo club, aren't they?
They are up and down. I think this is the first time next season that they will be in successive seasons in 7 years.
Only because everyone else was dross.
Oh, exactly. And they were stable points deductions, but they do not know how to solidify in the championship, but they know how to get out of League One easily. But
guys, is Barnsley on this list?
They're in League One.
No. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. I think what we'll do,
I don't know where I want to put them though, but for me, not the best.
I think what we'll do, because we've went on a lot of clubs, I think what we'll do is we'll just go. Probably should just wrap up now anyway, but let's just quick fire go. Last 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10 clubs.
Sheffield United, not good, not bad. Would you say?
Okay.
I'd say not the best.
Reece, go on.
Yeah, I'll go with not good, not bad.
This is interesting.
Stoke is bad.
They've been owners since the 80s, Bet365.
Yeah, they're useless. Bad.
They've done nothing. This is interesting because I get a lot of stick for this all the time. The arrogance that comes out of this lot about their owners stinks.
Not
they
the best.
actually have a decent owner.
In comparison.
Yeah. Well, in comparison, but off the pitch, they're absolutely brilliant. Their recruitment is spot on. They moan because they don't spend millions. Everything else is absolutely fine.
I think it's criminal there hasn't been a Cardiff-Swansea derby in the Premier League since that one season in 2013-14.
Exactly. It's such a good, it's brilliant derby. I mean, it's the only one in the country now with a bubble trip. That says it all.
Yeah, exactly. Not the best for them then.
For me, not good, not bad, to be honest.
Yeah, not good, not bad. Okay. Millwall, don't know.
It's Millwall, isn't it?
Not good, not bad.
Yeah. Spurs deluded. Watford, worst. West Brom, right down there.
Worst.
West Ham, not the best.
Yeah, not
They've
the
got
best.
investment coming in now, but the recruitment hasn't been great recently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's half David Sullivan, half the new investors now.
Oh, that's frightening. Wigan, worst. Wolves.
Wigan was really bad, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Wigan is still bad. They still don't pay their players on time.
absolutely. Wolves is not the best either.
I
It's not the
disagree.
best.
Wolves is great.
I think they're not the
Awesome.
best because I think they could do a whole lot better.
I think they could have done a lot better. Since they've been in the Premier League, the first 2 summers they were in, they spent a lot of money on players for the first team, but the rest of the squad was quite dross. So
Yeah.
they didn't have the squad almost to compete elsewhere. It was amazing how they got so much with the Europa League and all sorts. Like
Exactly.
their
Absolutely.
second season, the
Probably
season
so.
started. I put not the best personally, but their second
Yeah.
season started in July because of the Europa League qualifiers and stuff. Now recently,
that's
their
true.
recruitments have been a bit better. The squad looks a little bit more Premier League quality, but there's still a lot.
I
There's
agree.
still a bit to improve on.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
really? Let
agree.
me get that saved.
With that,
Are there
we
any
conclude-
changes anyone would make before we wrap up?
no.
I think we've nailed it, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. With that, to everyone that's watched tonight, Maze, Doug, obviously Josh was here earlier on. It was good seeing him. Like we've had Bluebird Legend as well. We've had some great content tonight. Obviously Julio as well in the live chat and on the show. So we do thank you for that. But we are definitely going to get out of here because 3 hours
I'm
40.
naked,
Yeah, I am exhausted. But it's been a great show. Thanks to everyone that's watched, and we'll see you all later.